Chapter 604. Lu Ziyun's hand that was about to slap Qing Yu's cheek was stopped by Yun Jian. His expression was sour. Ce and the other two girls had come over as well. Ce held Xiao Yunju with one hand and placed the box of instant noodles on the floor with the other. Yun Yi placed the Wangzai milk on the floor as fast as he could. His brows were locked in a frown, having heard how Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi had spoken to Qing Yu. How could Yun Yi not be pissed when the person he missed was standing right in front of him and she was crying? Yun Yi went over and stood in front of Qing Yu, blocking Lu Ziyun's path. "And who are you?" Lu Ziyun's tone turned haughty when he saw Yun Jian out of the blue. Lu Ziyun gave off the vibe of a hooligan to begin with. Not to mention, there was a tattoo on his collarbone. Combined with the tattoo below his collarbone, it wasn't hard to tell that his tattoo was a dragon. Lu Ziyun was already 18 or 19 years old, but he had quit school long ago. Now, he was in Xian City's underworld, working with gangs and earning some money. Although Lu Ziyun looked like a gangster, he was not such a person to begin with, nor was he such a degenerate. Ever since his mother passed away in an accident, however, he had become what he was today. Lu Tai's hair had already turned white. After his youngest daughter, Lu Xian, went missing, he and his wife had been searching for her day and night. At the same time, they had to rely on their meager income to survive. His eldest son had fallen since his mother passed away and even picked up some bad habits. His eldest daughter was the only one who was somewhat obedient. Ever since his wife passed away, Lu Tai had not been living a peaceful life until today. It was then that his youngest daughter came back on her own. Here came the dilemma. He could forgive his youngest daughter for her ignorance when she was young, but his son and eldest daughter would not agree. What could Lu Tai do? As the child's parent, he was the most troubled. "Sister Jian." Qing Yu could no longer hold back the tears in her eyes when she saw Yun Jian and Yun Yi, who suddenly appeared in front of her to shield her. Even Qing Yu, a high-ranking member of the kosher mercenaries, who could still stand calmly in front of Yun Jian and call them impudent when facing the group of old men from the kosher mercenaries earlier, could not resist the friction of kinship. "Don't cry, we're here." Yun Yi suddenly turned around. He reached out to gently wipe away the tears at the corner of Qing Yu's eyes. Qing Yu nodded. Actually, Qing Yu was already immune to the way Lu Ziyun and the others treated her. She knew that this was her own fault for being disobedient when she was young, and she should bear the consequences. Hence, Qing Yu had never retaliated against Lu Ziyun's scoldings and beatings. Her biological mother had also died because of her. Qing Yu was not a heartless person. However, when she saw Yun Jian and Yun Yi standing in front of her, especially when Yun Jian stood in front of her and said, "She's mine. How dare you hit her?" Qing Yu could not hold back her tears and they fell. "I don't have *king care who you are. This is my family's business anyway. You outsiders are not allowed to butt in." Lu Ziyun guffawed. Ce was standing on the side, holding the hand of Xiao Yunju, who was shaking his head in bewilderment, but he did not say anything. It was not appropriate for him to intervene in such matters. Chapter 605. Other than his younger sister, Yun Jian, and his mother, Qin Yiru, this was the first time Yun Yi had cursed for a woman. Yun Yi had always been an excellent student. Whether it was in Xinjiang Town or DE Senior High School, he had always been a model student in his teachers' hearts. He had good grades, treated others sincerely, and was polite to others. However, he had broken his bottom line to protect Qing Yu from being bullied. If Yun Yi's best friend, Su Haokol, was here, he would probably be screaming in shock. After all, Yun Yi's usual personality had changed for Qing Yu's sake. What? Lu Ziyun's finger that was pointing at Qing Yu retracted immediately. He could not believe that Qing Yu had a man now. How old was she? "Lu Xian. You have a man now? How old are you now? You're still in junior high? You're with a man. I say, why did you only stay here for a few days before leaving? So you ran away with a man. Off to live a good life. You despise our family now, don't you? Father and mother missed you so much that they couldn't even eat and drink. What about you? Why didn't you come back when you could? You killed my mother. You harmed our whole family. Why did you come back now? Scram. There's no such person in the Lu family. Scram." Lu Ziyun had completely misunderstood as he roared again. This time, he was even harsher to Qing Yu. Actually, Lu Ziyun had misunderstood something from the beginning. He hated Qingyu for insisting that his mother bring her out to play, but she was about to be abducted. That was fine. It was not unforgivable. Lu Ziyun remembered clearly that when Qingyu came back, she was dressed neatly and tidily. She did not look like she had been abducted by human traffickers at all. Lu Ziyun did not hate Qingyu so much earlier. After all, she was still young when she was abducted. Lu Ziyun's hatred was because Qingyu was dressed neatly when she came back. His mother had been so worried about finding Qingyu and his younger sister who had been abducted at such a young age that she did not even eat or drink. In the end, she accidentally fell into the sewer that was still under construction and drowned. What about Qingyu? She came back clean and tidy. Clean and tidy. She did not look like she had been through any hardships. This time, Lu Ziyun was thoroughly enraged. Since she was alive and well, living a lively life, unlike other abducted children who were missing arms and legs, why didn't they find her earlier? Why did they not come back earlier? If he had found her earlier, then his mother wouldn't have died. He wouldn't have gone to Xian City to look for her in the middle of the night just because he heard a rumor from the villagers. In the end, he tripped on a construction site and fell into the sewers and drowned. That was why Lu Ziyun was filled with hatred. He hated the fact that Qingyu had destroyed his entire family after being abducted while she returned safely. Humans had emotions. To be honest, Lu Ziyun had never hated Qingyu even when his mother died because he knew that his sister was innocent. He knew that she had no choice when she was abducted. However, when Qingyu came back, she was dressed neatly. He asked her where she had been all these years, but she did not say a word. Thus, Lu Ziyun was enraged. He hated this sister of his to the core. Just by looking at Qingyu's attire, Lu Ziyun naturally thought that she had been enjoying herself all these years or that she had been adopted by a rich family. In short, he thought that she had never suffered. Chapter 606. Yunyi held Qingyu's hand gently. Qingyu's hands were shaking uncontrollably. Whether it was Qingyu, Yunjian, or Ce and Yunyi who were present, all of them could hear it. Lu Ziyun hated Qingyu. He probably hated that she had been enjoying herself all these years. He hated that she was enjoying life while they were at home, worried that she would suffer outside. In the end, his mother had died searching for Qingyu. What about Qingyu? Their entire family was worried about their younger sister's life. Qingyu, on the other hand, was enjoying life outside while nothing changed when she returned. To Lu Ziyun, however, he had lost his mother. His most beloved mother. Perhaps Lu Ziyun was not wrong to think so. If she were to put herself in Lu Ziyun's shoes, the mother he loved the most had left him forever because of his long-lost younger sister. Perhaps it was not a hopeless situation, but the worst part was that his younger sister had suddenly returned one day. She was dressed to the nines when she returned but refused to tell where she had been all these years. Under such circumstances, other than the fact that she had been enjoying life for so many years and only returned home because she missed home, what else could it be? Stop it! Stop it! Xiao Yun, for Dad's sake, please stop it. Lu Tai stretched out his hand, his face paralyzed in pain. To Lu Tai, his wife was the love of his life, but because of his younger daughter, they were separated by life and death. However, he did not resent it because his younger daughter was his own flesh and blood. How could he feel good when he saw how his son treated his younger daughter? Eldest uncle, second uncle, youngest uncle, this is the place. She has enjoyed her life outside and now she wants to go home. My mother must have died in vain. At this time, Lu Qi had returned with a large group of people. Other than the group of teenagers who had come to watch the show, there was also a group of adults who had followed Lu Qi back. Most of the adults were Lu Tai's relatives. Most of the relatives and friends in the countryside were from the countryside. Very few of them had left the countryside. There was only one way to leave the countryside in this era. Get into a university and get a decent and stable job in the future. Therefore, when Lu Qi ran out and shouted, all the relatives who were working in the fields came to the house. In particular, the villagers were united. A group of people immediately threw down their hoes and ran over before plowing the land. What happened? What's the matter? A middle-aged man who was standing at the front stepped forward arrogantly. Uncle, she's my younger sister, Lu Xian, whom I brought home not long ago. Look at what she's wearing. She must have enjoyed a good life all these years. My mother passed away while looking for her, but she's living a good life all these years. Now that she's back, she's begging for our forgiveness. Lu Qi glared at Qingyu with hatred. Qingyu opened her mouth, chilling her heart in front of this group of relatives who were originally close to her but were now glaring at her menacingly. I didn't. In the end, Qingyu could only utter such words. You're still denying it? Then why don't you tell me where you went after you were abducted? Other than enjoying life, what else can I do to you? Lu Qi pointed at Qingyu, unforgiving. Lu Ziyun glared at Qingyu with the same hateful gaze. Lu Tai's pained expression broke Qingyu's heart. These were her relatives. Shut up, all of you. None of you have the right to talk about her like that. Yun Jian reprimanded loudly. Her loud voice shocked everyone present. Don't have the right? How was she unworthy? She was just going to enjoy life. Humph. Lu Qi continued through clenched teeth. Yun Jian was enraged now. She had Yun Yi step back while she walked to Qingyu. She pulled Qingyu's delicate hand and showed everyone her arm that was covered in scars that should have been smooth and fair. Enjoy life? This is the first time I've heard that someone would be covered in scars while enjoying life. After exposing her arm, Yun Jian turned Qingyu around. She did not expose Qingyu's body as she tore her clothes from her back to reveal her back that was covered in scars and bruises. Scars from knives and spears were all over Qingyu's back. The new and old scars were mixed together, a ghastly sight. Chapter 607. Come to think of it, you guys don't deserve this blessing, Yun Jian said, her deep gaze scanning the crowd. With that, she pulled the corner of Qingyu's shirt down to cover her back again. Yun Jian did not want to do anything, but she could not bear to watch Lu Ziyun and the others misunderstand Qingyu and watch her suffer but unable to voice out her pain. Did she not know what was on Qingyu's mind? Of course. Qingyu dared not say it out loud. Was she going to say that she took so long to come back because she only had the capability now? Was it because she dared not come back? Qingyu had some influence and status in the world. Of course, the stronger one was in this world, the more enemies they had. If Qingyu came home before she was capable enough, Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and the others would probably be killed by the people in this world. It was because Qingyu did not have the ability to protect them at that time. Yes. How did this happen? Yun Yi was shocked by Qingyu's exposed scars as well. It was not because of her scars but because his heart ached at the sight of so many scars on Qingyu's body. Yun Yi had been naked with Qingyu before but Yun Yi dared not look at her directly. Moreover, most of Qingyu's scars were on her back. There were wounds on her arms too but not many. Therefore, it was Yun Yi's first time seeing so many scars. Ce did not look at Qingyu's back just now. In his eyes, other than his Xiao Jian, no other woman could catch his eye. He didn't even bother to look at her. Lu Tai was still lingering on the edge of pain and grief. To Lu Tai, his wife's death was a heavy blow. Now that his daughter was back, he was happy but other than that, it was not like he did not feel anything. Lu Tai was a human being as well. If he were to put himself in his shoes, his closest and most important person had passed away in search of his daughter who had been missing for years. In the end, his daughter came back a few years later, wearing branded clothes. It was obvious that she had not suffered much. When he asked her where she had been, she clenched her teeth and refused to say anything. Lu Tai would overthink as well, but the only difference between him and Lu Ziyun was that he would empathize with Qingyu. He would always think that Qingyu had her reasons. He would never believe that his own daughter would do something like that, to enjoy life on her own and only come back when she was homesick. As it turned out, Qingyu did have her reasons. When Yun Jian exposed the scars on Qingyu's body, everyone present, they were shocked. The scars on Qingyu's back were so densely packed that it sent chills down one's spine just by looking at them. The scars on her back, around her heart, stab wounds after stab wounds to show how much she had tried her best to crawl from the brink of death and survive. Everyone's too. What kind of person was he to be able to survive the ordeal of receiving so many fatal injuries? How old was Qingyu? How much willpower did she rely on to not choose to die right away? How much inhumane treatment did she have to endure? Tears welled up in Lu Tai's old eyes. He opened his mouth and limped toward Qingyu, wobbling. It was a long time before he managed to speak. My Xueqi. How did this happen? My child, you've suffered. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke. Dad. For some reason, Qingyu felt like crying today. She had been in an assassin training camp and had been baptized as an assassin. All of this was before she met Yunjian. She had been shot and stabbed. Which time did she not grit her teeth and persevere through it? When had she ever shed a tear? Chapter 608. Qingyu hugged Lu Tai tightly. This was the warmth of kinship, the dissolution of misunderstandings. Qingyu was comforted after despair and regret. She could feel that although Lu Tai had resented her before, Lu Tai would not hate her because he was her father. Good child, you've suffered. Lu Tai's eyes were tear-stained, showing his age. Yunjian smiled, but there was a trace of bitterness in it. Had she not gone through the same thing? How could she not understand Qingyu's pain? Her body before she was reborn had suffered more injuries than Qingyu. Qingyu had only stayed in the assassin training camp for a few months before she was taken away by Snake. Lizard. These few months were hell on earth. Yunjian, on the other hand, had survived for 6 to 7 years in the assassin training camp with her own abilities. It was only when she was 12 that she officially debuted as Slaying God. Before that, the assassin training that she had gone through was unimaginable to a normal person. The winner was king while the loser was a bandit. This was reflected in the assassin's training. If you were weak, you could only die. Among the hundreds of children, those who survived these 6 to 7 years could be counted with one hand. Yunjian was the strongest among the 5 who survived. She was the pinnacle of her ability. Yunjian only found out later that she had lost her parents and only had her younger brother. If she had parents, she would have gone back to them like Qingyu. Her predicament back then might have been worse than Qingyu's. However, when Yunjian in her past life returned home, her parents had already passed away, leaving only her younger brother, Yunju. As Yunjian pondered, Yunyi stood aside with clenched fists. He swore that he would never let Qingyu suffer again. He had to become stronger and protect her. However, Lu Ziyun, Lu Qi, the group of young men and women that Lu Qi had brought along, including the relatives that Lu Qi had called over, were all rooted to the spot in shock when they saw Qingyu's scar. They didn't make a sound, didn't speak because they were stunned. Lu Ziyun, in particular, was rooted to the spot. Lu Ziyun hated Qingyu, but it was not because she had been abducted by human traffickers when she was young. He hated it because his mother had died because of Qingyu and Qingyu had returned in all her glory, as if she had enjoyed enough and had returned to beg for forgiveness. Lu Ziyun admitted that his thoughts had been extreme because of his mother's death. However, when all the misunderstandings were cleared, his heart still ached. Lu Ziyun had memories of Qingyu before she was abducted. She was his biological sister after all. His mother was his dearest family and so was his sister. He still remembered that his mother had once said that apart from his parents, his 2 younger sisters were his closest relatives. Now that he saw Qingyu suffering so many injuries, his heart was pained as well. A person's heart was complicated. When he saw Qingyu's back that was filled with scars, Lu Ziyun could not bring himself to harden his heart. He walked slowly toward Qingyu but paused before asking, Lu Xan, what have you been doing all these years? Why did you injure yourself all over? There was an obvious change in Lu Ziyun's attitude. Of course, it was impossible for him to change completely after so many years of not seeing Qingyu and being used to treating her fiercely. Qingyu wiped away her silent tears, still hesitating if she should say it out loud. Chapter 609. The truth was that Lu Qi and her friends who did not look like good people shuddered when they saw the scars all over Qingyu. To be able to endure such a heavy injury was indeed not something that an ordinary person could endure. Yet what was the point? From Lu Qi's perspective, her younger sister's return was to steal her brother and father's love. Since Qingyu's return, her father Lu Tai had given her all the good food, treating her like a treasure, afraid that she would hurt herself. In fact, the reason Lu Tai treated Qingyu so well was because he still felt guilty that his daughter had suffered a lot even after she had been abducted by human traffickers for so many years. He did not take good care of her back then. Lu Qi actually had no feelings for his younger sister, Qingyu, at all. After all, Lu Qi was only a little over 10 years old when Qingyu was abducted. She was only a year older than Qingyu. A little over 10 years old was the age where one could remember things. From Lu Qi's perspective, her mother and father had always doted on her since she had a younger sister, giving her all the good food and toys when she was young. To be honest, Lu Qi had hated Qingyu since she was young. It was also due to this reason that she did not feel upset when she found out that Qing Yu was abducted. Instead, she was secretly happy. Now that her younger sister was abducted, she could receive all the love from her parents. Reality proved this. After Qing Yu, who was also Lu Xian, was abducted, Lu Qi's parents doted on Lu Qi even though they had lost their appetite. It was because Lu Tai and his late wife realized that it was their fault for letting their younger daughter be abducted. Therefore, the only reason they insisted on staying alive was to take good care of their other daughter and their son. Lu Qi grew up under her parents' care. Although Luo village was a rural village and its economic development was backward, Lu Tai had never let his daughter and son suffer at all. Lu Ziyun had fallen from grace ever since his mother had passed away. Lu Tai had endured all these hardships with tears in his eyes. His wife was gone. If he were to degenerate as well, how could this family survive? When Qing Yu appeared, Lu Qi immediately felt that her father's love for her was threatened. Lu Tai took good care of her younger sister who seemed to have suffered for years outside, even giving her things to her long-lost sister. This made Lu Qi think that Qing Yu had returned to snatch away her happiness. Xiao Qi, shut up. How can you say such things? In fact, Lu Ziyun's heart ached when he saw the wound on Qing Yu's back. He could not help but growl at Lu Qi when he heard what Lu Qi said. Qing Yu Qing was his younger sister no matter what, his biological sister. Furthermore, Lu Ziyun had a long memory. He remembered the past between him and his little sister. There were feelings. Even when he had yelled at Qing Yu to get lost, Lu Ziyun had never insulted Qing Yu with words that could easily be misunderstood in front of everyone. Lu Qi's to say that Qing Yu you're not innocent. Among the children who were abducted by human traffickers, some of the beautiful girls would be abducted and become prostitutes at a young age, earning money by accompanying customers. This had happened many times in Luo village. Was this not what Lu Qi was referring to when she said that Qing Yu was involved in an illegal business? Anyone with a discerning eye would know that. Lu Ziyun was displeased with Qing Yu before, but after seeing the scars on Qing Yu's back, he began to change. That was why he yelled at Lu Qi to shut up. Chapter 6:10. If she hadn't been so playful when she was young and insisted on going out to play, would she have been abducted by human traffickers? Would our mother have died so innocently? Brother, what's wrong with you? Why are you speaking up for her? Lu Qi glared at Qing Yu angrily before gritting her teeth at Lu Ziyun. The wounds on Qing Yu's back and hands did not prove anything. The people present would not even think that Qing Yu's wounds were left behind when she was an assassin or when she was on a mission. Luo village only had a few hundred families. The population was small. It was rare for Luo village's people to make a trip to Xian City, especially at the end of the 90s when transportation was gradually being developed and public transportation was available. However, how could one make a trip from Luo village to Xian City or even a long journey without money? The people of Luo village relied on farming to support their families. All their wealth came from selling the harvests in the fields and gradually accumulating it. Therefore, in comparison, the people of Luo village did not know much. They knew what assassins and secret agents were, but the villagers of Luo village would never have guessed that Qing Yu was abducted to be trained as an assassin. In comparison, the closest thing to reality was what Lu Qi said. Qing Yu was indeed beautiful. Although Qing Yu had a baby face, her features were delicate and delicate. Her nose bridge was high, and her small face had a unique charm to it. If the people present were to explain the scars on Qing Yu's body, the most convincing explanation for what Qing Yu had been doing during her disappearance was that she was working as a prostitute in a brothel. It was not like there was no precedent for a girl in the village being abducted. Moreover, Qing Yu was beautiful and covered in wounds. Girls who were sold to brothels would be beaten if they were disobedient. Some would even be beaten until their flesh was torn apart. Some customers with strong tastes would not even see these girls as human beings. Qing Yu was consistent with this. She refused to say what she had been doing during the time she was abducted. If she had been in a brothel and engaged in shady business for so many years, it would be strange if she was willing to talk about it. Therefore, the way most of the people present looked at Qing Yu had changed. There were even a few people who looked at Yun Jian with the same disdain. They were still thinking, since Yun Jian and Qing Yu are friends, they must be the same. What a pity that these two beauties actually came from a brothel. They must be the kind of women that could be ridden by tens of thousands of men. Thinking of this, all the men present looked at Qing Yu and Yun Jian with unfriendly gazes. Some of them even thought, if I were to play with these two prostitutes who are ridden by tens of thousands of men, it would really be ecstasy. Lu Qi was still fighting with Lu Ziyun. Standing beside Yunjian Ce, who was also a man, could clearly feel the gazes of the surrounding men staring at his woman with ill intentions. Ce's eyes immediately darkened as he frowned, especially when he felt the gazes sizing up Yunjian's beautiful body. Ce pulled Yunjian behind him with a frown. After avoiding the gazes, Ce looked up to meet the men who were staring at Yunjian earlier. He then swept his domineering aura across the place and shouted at the men, "You're the one who's being bullied." Chapter 6:11. Lu Ziyun had no intention of humiliating Qingyu in front of everyone. Such a thought had never crossed his mind. She was his sister after all. Lu Qi's words earlier had caused Lu Ziyun to frown. Initially, he had wanted to persuade Lu Qi to stop talking so much. Before he could say anything though, the group of uncles who were called over by Lu Qi and the old bachelors in the village who were here to watch the show were all staring at Yunjian lecherously. They did not look at Qingyu with lewd eyes because she was Lu Tai's daughter after all. Even if they wanted to, she was still Lu Tai's daughter. Yunjian was different though. Everyone thought that Qingyu must have been sold into a brothel. Yunjian must be the sister that Qingyu met in the brothel. She must be a prostitute who was ridden by thousands of men. Women earned money by spreading their thighs was the fastest way. That was what the men thought. It further convinced them that Qingyu and Yunjian were from a brothel. After all, Qingyu was abducted when she was young. Even if she was adopted by a kind soul, how could she wear branded clothes when she came home? She looked like she came from a rich family. Only by earning money in that way could a young girl like her afford branded clothes. Yunjian, who knew about Qingyu's injury, must be the same as Qingyu. Therefore, Lu Qi's uncles and the old bachelors who were here to watch the show were all looking at Yunjian lecherously. They could not touch Qingyu, but it did not mean that they could not touch her friend. Moreover, Yunjian was exquisite and beautiful, even prettier than Qingyu. This made the group of old bachelors present feel their hearts itch. Even if they had wives and children at home, their eyes would change color when they looked at Yunjian. Some of the old bachelors in Luo village could not find a wife because they were poor. There were plenty of such people in the village. It was not surprising to see them. The old bachelors in Luo village had one thing in common. They were gluttonous and lazy. It was precisely because they were gluttonous and lazy that their families were so poor that they naturally had no money to marry a wife. These people were only here to watch the show, but once they heard it, they really imagined Qingyu and Yunjian to be that kind of person. Therefore, they did not hold back with their words. A short, bald-headed man with a limp spoke in front of Ce, his tone dripping with arrogance. "Young man, are you crazy? Is this woman your woman?" Ha! Ha ha! I looked at her tender breasts. Qu'est-ce que c'est, those breasts, they're really plump. They're probably the result of being pampered, right? Since this is your woman, young man, let's make a deal. Since your woman is for sale, why don't you let me play with her? I'll give you money. This short old bachelor was only 1.55 meters tall, shorter than Yunjian. He was considered short among men. Looking at Yunjian, his heart had long been itching. Now that he said such words, it was even more disgusting. Even Lu Ziyun, who had just improved his attitude towards Qingyu, could not help frowning when he heard it. Ce's eyes darkened when he heard the short old bachelor's words. His murderous intent rose. He could not even bear to touch his own woman. Was this old man seeking death? Fine, he would fulfill his wish. Ce pulled out his pistol from his belt. The silver pistol was suddenly taken out and pointed at the short old bachelor. Ce's lips curled into a murderous smirk. "You can die now." Chapter 6:12. It was Lu Ziyun's quarrel with Qingyu, but because of Lu Qi's words, the group of old bachelors misunderstood. Lu Ziyun stopped his quarrel with Lu Qi and panicked. He had a feeling that something was going to happen. Qingyu was already standing beside Lu Tai. No matter what others thought of her, she did not care as long as her father believed in her. However, she did not expect that this was not the end of it. This group of old bachelors who came to watch the show would mock Yunjian. Qingyu was aware of Ce's protectiveness. Qingyu knew that Ce cared about Yunjian beyond that. In Qingyu's opinion, Ce was the kind of person who would risk his life for Yunjian. How dare this old bachelor talk about Yunjian and insult Yunjian in such a tone? Qingyu wanted to kill him too, let alone Ce. It was just that Ce was more direct. Ce was the leader of an Hun group. He had always done things in a straightforward manner and never held back. Of course, he knew where they were, but he also knew that these people from Luo village were unreasonable. If he did not show his true abilities, these people from Luo village would not be afraid of causing trouble. However, no one present expected Ce, who had been silent earlier, to suddenly pull out a gun when Yunjian was being verbally insulted. That was a real gun. What was more terrifying was that he actually dared to shoot. Ah! It's a gun! Lu Qi, who had been confident earlier, was completely shocked when she saw Ce pull out a gun. Everyone at the scene was completely dumbfounded. The short old bachelor who had slandered Yunjian was so shocked that he stood rooted to the ground, unable to move. With a loud bang, Ce had already fired. However, just as Ce fired, Yunjian suddenly reached out to block it and gently shifted Ce's aim. Ce was not guarded against Yunjian at all. His love for her was true. Even if Yunjian were to kill him now, he would not hate her. If it had been in the beginning when Ce had no feelings for Yunjian, he would not have done this. However, even if Yunjian wanted to kill him now, he would not stop her. Because he would do whatever she wanted, as long as it was what she wanted. As a result, the shot missed the short old bachelor and hit a pile of sand and stones in the distance that was going to be used to build a house. The old bachelor, who had just narrowly escaped death, was drenched in cold sweat. Why is there a gun here? Isn't it forbidden to carry guns now? The other old bachelor standing beside the short old bachelor was so scared that he shouted out loud. The short old man had also touched a gun when he was young. In the early years, before the country banned the use of handguns, many people had guns in their hands. Most of the men present had more or less touched guns when they were young. Therefore it was not strange for them to have guns. When the short old man saw that Yunjian had pushed the bullet away for him, he did not realize that he had just escaped death. Instead, he became even more complacent. He touched his bald head and thought that Yunjian had been attracted by his good looks. He looked at Yunjian and said in front of Ce, "Yo, little girl, you have good taste. How about it? Do you want to have sex with me? I'm definitely stronger than any man you've slept with before." As soon as he said this, Ce pointed the gun in his hand at the short old man's forehead. However, Yunjian covered Ce's slender hand. Everyone present was terrified. They thought that Yunjian was afraid that something would happen. Chapter 6:13. Just as Yunjian finished speaking, Ce suddenly put an arm around her and stopped her from moving. Xiao Yunju was standing beside Ce. When Ce was about to pull the trigger, he reached out with his slender fingers and covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. At this moment, Ce was holding Yunjian with one arm and not covering Xiao Yunju's eyes with the other. Xiao Yunju was very obedient, but he was still confused. Sister, what do you mean by living a life worse than death? Our teacher said that being alive means being alive, but why should we die if we're alive? Isn't that a contradiction? Xiao Yunju cracked his little fingers and couldn't think of an answer after pondering for a long time. Hence he asked this question. The tense atmosphere just now was soothed by Yunju's light-hearted question. Especially when Yunjian said that she wanted the short old bachelor to live a life worse than death. Her tone and ruthless tone when she spoke just now. When everyone heard this, the short old bachelor's miserable state surfaced in their minds. Look after Xiao Zhu. You don't have to do anything today. Ce held Yunjian's waist with one arm and looked straight at the short old bachelor with his deep, hawk-like, domineering eyes as he spoke to Yunjian. These words warmed Yunjian's heart. Okay, Yunjian replied softly. When Ce said this, his tone was neither cold nor warm, and there was no expression on his face. But because of this, everyone present felt that his indifferent handsome face, coupled with his slender fingers holding the gun in his hand, gave him an indescribable domineering aura. His domineering aura also gave off a chilling vibe. Brother, who is he? How can he have a gun? Lu Qi stood beside Lu Ziyun. She had been arguing with Lu Ziyun arrogantly earlier, but now she dared not utter a single word when she saw the gun in Siyi's hand. Lu Qi, shut up. All of a sudden, Lu Ziyun recalled that this whole incident had started because of Lu Qi's unreasonable words. Lu Ziyun was still a smart person, and he quickly reprimanded Lu Qi. "Brother, you're being mean to me again. You've never been this mean to me before." "Humph, it's all because of her. Because she's back, all of you treat me badly and don't want me anymore." Lu Qi did not know that Lu Ziyun was doing this for her own good. She glared at Qing Yu with hatred as she spoke to Lu Ziyun. At this moment, Yun Jian had already covered Xiao Yunju's eyes. Ce was already walking toward the short old bachelor. "You! What are you trying to do?" The short old bachelor was suddenly intimidated by Ce's aura. He had thought that he would be fine earlier, but now he was shivering. In spite of this, the short old bachelor refused to lose face in front of so many people. He still held his head high. Although the short old bachelor raised his head, his 155 meters height was nothing compared to Ce, who was 185 meters tall. Just as the old bachelor could not help taking 3 steps back in fright, Ce suddenly straddled his long legs and grabbed the man's collar, lifting him up effortlessly before he spoke in a neutral tone. "What's wrong with you? Do you know the consequences of trying to lay a finger on my woman?" Ce's words sent a shiver down everyone's spine. What is it?" The short old bachelor looked rather comical as he was lifted up by Ce in the air. Ce suddenly flung the short old bachelor away. While he was in mid-air, he raised his gun and aimed at the short old bachelor's groin and fired a shot. Bang! Chapter 6:14. The shot landed squarely on the short old man's manhood. After being flung away by Ce, the short old man's manhood was hit with a loud bang by Ce's shot. After a second of silence, a howl that sounded like a pig being slaughtered echoed through the clouds. "Ah! Mang! Mang!" What followed was the short old man rolling on the ground with his hands covering his crotch. Everyone present was stunned by Ce's sudden action. "Ah! Brother, he really shot." Lu Qi was shocked by the sudden gory scene. She quickly covered her eyes, her hands still trembling violently. To Lu Qi, this was no doubt the scariest thing she had ever seen in her life. She knew this short old man as well. He was the role model of the village's lazy gluttony. Lu Qi still remembered that every time he passed by this short old bachelor's house, the way the short old bachelor looked at him was very disgusting. It was disgusting, but now that she saw a familiar face rolling on the ground with his hands covering his bloody crotch, his expression was one of unbearable agony. Lu Qi was frightened to death, especially when she saw the bloody scene from afar. Although Lu Qi grew up in a village, she had never seen blood. Both her parents treated her like the apple of their eye. Although their family's conditions were a little poor, Lu Tai would work himself to death and never let Lu Qi suffer even a little bit. Therefore, Lu Qi's fright was not to be underestimated. Lu Ziyun was frightened as well. He had never seen such a gory scene either. Chills ran down his spine, but he still caressed Lu Qi's head, protecting her from the fear alone. This was a brother's love for his sister. At the same time, Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu and his old father with a pale face. Actually, ever since he saw Qing Yu's wounds, even if Qing Yu was really from a brothel, even if Qing Yu was really unbearable, Lu Ziyun had already decided to acknowledge Qing Yu as his sister. He hated Qing Yu because he thought she was enjoying herself and did not come home earlier, causing his mother's death. However, now that the misunderstanding had been cleared up, Lu Ziyun was not a bad person. He planned to slowly forgive Qing Yu. Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu because he was afraid that Qing Yu would be afraid of witnessing such a gory scene. Unexpectedly, when Lu Ziyun turned to look at Qing Yu, what he saw was Qing Yu's normal face that was not at all frightened by the horrifying scene in front of him. Why wasn't his sister afraid at all? Lu Ziyun was doubtful. You actually dared to shoot. You're going to be caught." An old bachelor who saw what was happening pointed at Ce in fright, clutching his crotch as he exclaimed, "Caught." Ce fiddled with the gun. His slender fingers hooked onto the gun firmly. His handsome face was illuminated by the winter sunset. Then he gently flicked his hair, revealing a beautiful yet arrogant smile. He said to the old bachelor, "I want to see which one of you has the guts to capture me." His tone was insolent and arrogant. However, he had the right to do so. Just as Ce finished his words, he put his gun away and left the short old bachelor rolling on the ground to fend for himself. Yun Jian was standing not far away. He put his gun away as he walked and soon reached Yun Jian, wrapping an arm around Yun Jian's slim waist in front of everyone. You How dare you hurt people like this? Everyone's opinion of Yun Jian and the rest had changed completely. If Yun Jian was really from a brothel, how could she be so insolent? In other words, it was impossible for Qing Yu. Therefore, everyone was doubtful about the identities of Yun Jian, Qing Yu, and the others. Chapter 6:15. If she dared to kill someone, what else would she not dare to do? Yun Jian's words caused panic among the crowd, especially the group of old bachelors who saw Yun Jian as a woman for sale. They were now looking at Yun Jian in disbelief, trembling in fear. Although Yun Jian was not the one who fired the shot, the way Ce pampered Yun Jian was enough to shock everyone present. The short old bachelor who had just lost his manhood had only spoken a few words about Yun Jian, but Ce had already crippled his manhood. Under such oppressive circumstances, who would dare to make a sound? If this wasn't courting death, then what was? As for the short old bachelor who was rolling on the ground with his hands covering his crotch, no one wanted to bother with him. After all, this short old bachelor was not a good person. However, it would not be good if someone died. Therefore, some of the older and more experienced people went over to help the short old bachelor up and headed to the only old clinic in Luo village. Those who were there to watch the show dispersed. What a joke! Who would be willing to be like that short old bachelor and watch a show, only to end up losing his manhood? What else could it be if not the loss outweighed the gain? Therefore, the crowd dispersed after a short while. In the end, even Lu Qi's group of friends left the place. They were practically running away. Xueqi, who are these friends of yours? Lu Tai asked Qing Yu as he glanced at Ce and Yun Jian fearfully after everyone had left. Lu Tai was a farmer who had lived in Luo village his whole life and had not seen much of the world. Therefore, he felt a sense of fear when he saw Yun Jian and Ce. Dad! Qing Yu wiped her lips and glanced at Yun Yi, about to reply to Lu Tai when Lu Tai interrupted her. A voice that was louder than Qing Yu's came through. Dad! Look at her. What kind of friends does she have? How could they beat someone up like that? We're done for. What if they come looking for us? We can't afford it with our family's condition. Lu Qi's exaggerated voice drowned out the words that Qing Yu wanted to blurt out. Humph. We didn't hurt him anyway. So many people in our village saw it. If anything happens, it's their fault. As Lu Qi spoke, she pointed at Yun Jian and Ce with her not-so-slender and rather plump fingers. It's all on me, Qing Yu said bitterly, lowering her gaze after Lu Qi spoke. Xueqi. Lu Tai's pain was unbearable. He finally found his youngest daughter who had suffered outside for so many years, but his other children were at odds with her. There was nothing more difficult to deal with than this. Dad, it's fine. Qing Yu turned to smile at Lu Tai, her expression forced. Qing Yu knew now that it was difficult, extremely difficult, for her to reconcile with her brother and sister. However, her father would not. Even if she had indirectly caused her mother's death, she was Lu Tai's biological daughter after all. Xueqi, I've let you suffer. Lu Tai said tearfully as he patted the back of Qing Yu's hand with his aged hand. Xueqi, there's no one around now. Tell us, what have you been doing all these years? Lu Ziyun asked Qing Yu again when he saw that there was no one around. His tone when he spoke to Qing Yu was no longer as irascible as before. Qing Yu's lips were pursed as she lowered her gaze before turning to Yun Jian. Chapter 6:16. After all, Qing Yu was a higher-up in Kosha mercenaries. To be honest, her identity was an absolute secret. Kosha Mercenaries was an international mercenary group, and as a higher-up in Kosha Mercenaries, Qing Yu's identity had to be kept a secret. Of course, Qing Yu wanted to be honest with Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and the rest purely because they were her family, her closest kin. To be honest was to clear up misunderstandings. There were a few levels of honesty. The first was to come clean about everything. The other was to only reveal her identity as an assassin. Although the meaning was more or less the same, it was clearly inappropriate to reveal Qing Yu's true identity. After all, Qing Yu was a higher-up in Kosha Mercenaries, and Kosha Mercenaries had its own rules. The rules were set by Yun Jian, and even Yun Jian herself could not easily break them, let alone Qing Yu. Yun Jian was protective, but she would not relent when it came to her bottom line. Lu Ziyun was puzzled by Qing Yu's turn to look at Yun Jian. Lu Ziyun was no fool. Naturally, He could tell from the interaction between Qing Yu and Yunjian that Yunjian and Qing Yu must be related in some way. As for what they were related to each other, no one could say for sure. Unless Qing Yu came clean. Xueqi, it's all right now. We're at home. Dad didn't have the ability to find you and let you suffer outside. Dad will take care of you from now on. Dad will never let anyone bully Xueqi. Dad. Lu Tai thought that Qing Yu did not want to talk about the past. His aged face was bleak. He spoke continuously, but halfway through, tears welled up in his eyes. Lu Tai even wiped away his tears with his dry old hand. Seeing that Qing Yu refused to tell him where she had been all these years, Lu Tai could confirm one thing. His Xueqi had indeed suffered a lot. Dad, it's not your fault. It's not Mom's either. If anything, it's my own fault for being playful when I was young. Qing Yu stood beside Lu Tai, her heart aching as she patted his back lightly to comfort him. Say it, Yunjian suddenly spoke up just as Qing Yu was about to keep her mouth shut. Qing Yu's hand that was soothing Lu Tai's emotions paused abruptly as she turned to look at Yunjian in surprise. Sister Jian. It's better to make certain things clear, Yunjian said to Qing Yu with a smile. If it was the Yunjian from her past life, she would never have supported Qing Yu's confession. In the past life, slaying God was unintentional. In her previous life, even when her younger brother died, it was inevitable for her to be sad, but it was not to the extent that she would die. But after her rebirth, after such a long period of time together, Yunjian discovered that there could be such deep affection between people. There wasn't a single person who didn't yearn for kinship. In her previous life, Yunjian yearned for kinship, but what she yearned for was perhaps only kinship, the feeling of being cared for. Not that person. Until now, Xiao Yunzhu, Qin Yiru, and Yun Yi had completely integrated into her life. She understood what kinship was. She also understood that none of them could be replaced by others. Mm. Qing Yu nodded solemnly after getting Yunjian's permission. Seeing that Qing Yu was going to come clean, even Yun Yi could not help pricking up her ears. Lu Ziyun was even more focused. Lu Qi was the only one who didn't seem to care at all. Chapter 6:17. When I was abducted back then, I was brought to a small island. Later, I realized that there were at least a few hundred children who were abducted like me. Qing Yu paused when she said this, as if she could still recall the fear she felt back then. I was scared, very scared, but I couldn't cry. Dad, I still remember when I was young, you said that if one day I forgot the way home, I must stand there and wait for you, because you will definitely find me. No matter where I am, you will come and find me. Qing Yu reached out to hold Lu Tai's old palm when she said this. Before Qing Yu was abducted, Lu Tai loved his youngest daughter dearly. He was a true farmer. When he worked in the fields, he would bring his youngest daughter along and tell her stories. As he told more stories, Lu Tai would talk about principles that little Qing Yu could not understand. He was not educated, but he knew a lot of principles after living for so long. However, this was the only thing that Qing Yu understood. Perhaps many parents would remind their children to be safe, but to Qing Yu, what her father told her was the truth that she would remember for the rest of her life. Tears trickled down from the corner of Qing Yu's eyes. She continued under everyone's gaze. I stood there all the time, not daring to go too far. Then, some children ran away out of fear. When a child took the lead and ran, a group of children followed. But that was a small island. Other than the island, there was an endless ocean around. The group of children who ran away were all killed by a group of men carrying machine guns. Their bodies were also dragged away. All the bodies of the children who ran away were fed to the wolves. Qing Yu's tone was slowly returning to normal. After that, they started training us children who didn't run away. 4 months, we trained day and night. It was also there that I learned how to kill. Qing Yu raised both her hands as she spoke. Lu Qi's legs were already trembling when she heard Qing Yu talk about how she killed without any fluctuation in her tone, as if killing a person was as simple as having a meal. Dad, I think you should know. That's right. It's an assassin organization and I'm an assassin. Qing Yu paused. However, my luck was very good. I stayed in the organization for a few months and met Master. Master took me away from that terrifying place. Otherwise, I would have been a cold corpse by now. If Snake Lizard had not taken Qing Yu away back then, Qing Yu would not have been able to escape from that place with her ability alone. She did not have Yunjian's skills nor Yunjian's ability. Qing Yu's skills could only be considered above average. If Qing Yu had been like Yunjian, she would not have been able to leave the assassin organization alive. This was because out of hundreds of people, only a few had survived. Qing Yu stopped there. She did not tell Lu Tai and the rest that she had been following Yunjian ever since. Qing Yu knew that Yunjian did not want to expose her identity. Assassin? Xueqi. These wounds on your body, there. Lu Tai's eyes widened as he stared at Qing Yu in disbelief with his mouth agape. I was stabbed by someone. There's also a gunshot wound. Qing Yu did not hide it since she had already revealed it. Lu Xingyu. Lu Ziyun was speechless from Qing Yu's words. His sister, the sister that he thought had returned in glory, had gone through such pain. Chapter 6:18. The kidnapped sister was not sold to a prostitute's brothel, nor was she crippled and left to beg on the streets. Both of these were common occurrences in the real world. There were even quite a number of children from Luo village who were abducted. By the time their parents found their children, they were already crippled. How could a girl who had been a prostitute get married? Which one of the crippled beggars on the streets was not missing an arm or a leg? How would they live in the future? Some of them were even blinded. These were nothing more than human traffickers' tactics to gain sympathy from passers-by. These detestable human traffickers did not destroy a person but a family's happiness. However, these were not Qing Yu's experiences. She had gone to a place even crueler. An assassin's organization. Perhaps they had been abducted to become prostitutes, or perhaps they had been crippled and forced to beg on the streets. It was unfortunate, but at least this group of people was still alive. What about an assassin's organization? This was a place where the winner was king and the loser was a bandit. If one did not have the ability, one would die. In an assassin's organization, there were hundreds of children but only a few of them survived until the end. Sometimes there were not even 3 of them who survived. Yet his sister had been kidnapped to such a place. Lu Ziyun's heart skipped a beat. It was also in this second that his hatred for Qing Yu was completely set aside. He hated her because he thought that Qing Yu did not want to go home because she was enjoying life all these years, but when he knew what she had been through, as her brother, Lu Ziyun's heart still ached. This was his sister after all. My Xueqi, you've suffered. It's all Dad's fault. I couldn't find you and didn't keep my promise. It's Dad's fault, it's Dad's fault. Lu Tai's soul almost left his body when he heard Qing Yu's story. He thumped his chest and yelled at himself for being useless. He really did not expect his younger daughter to be kidnapped and sent to an assassin's organization. Those who entered a place like that would die without a doubt. Dad, didn't I come back alive? Dad, don't blame yourself. If it weren't for you telling me to wait for you at the same spot when we got separated, I would have been running around with those kids. Qing Yu quickly grabbed Lu Tai's hand and comforted him. If Qing Yu had run around like the other children, she would have died on the spot. As expected, Lu Tai's emotions calmed down at once when Qing Yu said that. Yun Jian scanned everyone's expression and realized that Lu Ziyun had completely cleared up his misunderstanding of Qing Yu. As for Lu Qi, she was Qing Yu's elder sister. At this moment, Lu Qi's heart was filled with complicated emotions. Lu Qi had always thought that Qing Yu's return was to snatch her father and brother's love away from her, but she still felt a twinge of pain when she knew what her sister had gone through. To Lu Qi, her younger sister Qing Yu had snatched away all her childhood love. When her younger sister was abducted, Lu Qi was indeed vaguely happy because her love for her had returned. However, there was also a sense of emptiness in her heart, as if something was missing. Lu Qi had always had a sharp tongue. No matter how hurtful her words were, no one would dare to claim second place if she claimed to be the best. So Dad, we must live together as a family from now on. Qing Yu flashed a bitter smile. Lu Tai nodded heavily, touched. Chapter 6:19. Yun Yi's voice rang out, startling everyone present. They then recalled how Yun Yi had claimed that Qing Yu was his woman in front of everyone to protect Qing Yu. Was he not joking earlier? To be honest, Lu Tai really thought that Yun Yi was joking earlier. After all, to Lu Tai, a young man like Yun Yi was quite outstanding. Yun Yi was handsome and seemed like a nice person. One look and one would know that he was a reliable person. Of course, Lu Tai would not associate his youngest daughter with Yun-yi. Based on the situation earlier, Lu Tai would have thought that Yun-yi had claimed that Qingyu was his woman because they were friends and that Yun-yi was only trying to support Qingyu. However, just as he was enjoying himself with his youngest daughter and everyone's mood was getting better, Yun-yi suddenly spoke. Did he really have something going on with his youngest daughter? After all, he did not watch Qingyu grow up. With a frown, Lu Tai began studying Yun-yi carefully. Xueqi, he is. Lu Tai pointed at Yun-yi who was standing not far away from Yunjian and asked Qingyu. Dad, he's my friend's brother. Qingyu knew that Lu Tai did not care about her past at all. She held his hand affectionately with a smile and told him. Yunjian was the friend Qingyu mentioned. Even if they were blind, they could tell that Yunjian was her friend. In spite of it, Qingyu's words made Yun-yi choke. What did she say? Did she just say that he was her friend's brother? That was all? Friend's brother? We've slept together and you're saying that I'm your friend's brother? Once Yun-yi heard her, he went to Qingyu and grabbed her slender wrist without exerting much force. He could not bear to hurt Qingyu if he used too much force. Pfft. When Yunjian heard her brother's words, she couldn't help but laugh on the spot. Following Yunjian's smile, the atmosphere was lifted from the tense atmosphere just now. What are you talking about? Qingyu's eyes bulged, refusing to admit it. However, when she heard Yun-yi's words, warmth flowed through Qingyu's heart. Say what? Do I need to repeat myself? We are already sleeping in the same bed. What do you think is our relationship? Yun-yi also directly threw away the burden of being a gentleman and became a robber for once. His purpose of coming here was obvious as well, to woo Qingyu. Qingyu could not retort. She pouted and turned to Lu Tai. Dad, look at how he's bullying me. Lu Tai was speechless. Qingyu turned to Yunjian and said coquettishly, Sister Jian, your brother is bullying me. You have to help me. Caressing Xiao Yunju's head, Yunjian looked away but said, I didn't see anything. Qingyu was speechless. Brat, how dare you bully Lu, my younger sister? Lu Ziyun suddenly went up and grabbed Yun-yi's collar, asking like a ruffian. Qingyu's eyes glinted in shock when he suddenly called her his younger sister. I'll take responsibility. Yun-yi, who was grabbed by the collar, did not fight back as he said seriously. Just as the mood of the group turned for the better, a group of menacing people walked over with hoes in their hands, looking menacing. It's them. They're the ones who ruined Laosan's manhood. Chapter 620. The short old bachelor who had just been shot by Ce was surnamed Wang. Everyone in the village called him Bachelor Wang. Bachelor Wang was not the first old man in Luo village to be a bachelor. There were more bachelor men in Luo village than men who were able to get married and have children. What was the reason for this? There was actually a reason. Luo village had been a poor and destitute village since ancient times. Since ancient times, this place was especially prone to drought. The farmers could not afford to grow crops, and the rain was scarce. There was little rain in all 4 seasons. And Luo village's ancestors had passed down a preference for boys over girls. In the eyes of most families in Luo village, there was an absolute difference between giving birth to a boy and a girl. Giving birth to a boy was for their retirement. Giving birth to a girl, a married daughter, was like spilled water. Therefore, everyone said that a daughter was a waste of money. And Luo village was such a feudal place. Over time, Luo village developed a habit. Every family had to give birth to a son before they were willing to give up. This also led to an indirect problem. In Luo village, there were too few girls compared to boys. As a result, there was only 1 girl among 3 or 4 boys. Luo village was poor to begin with. It was basically impossible to get a wife from outside. And the ratio of men to women in Luo village had been unbalanced for a long time. Until now, there were not many girls in Luo village at all. Even the girls in Luo village would marry outside. So what would these boys do when they grew up? In the end, they would be like Bachelor Wang and be single for the rest of their lives. The group of old women in the village who favored boys over girls would gather together. Some would even chatter and scold Luo village for being so outstanding. But the women outside were not willing to marry into Luo village. But they had completely forgotten. Luo village favored boys over girls. How could the daughter-in-law who married in have a good life? When this group of old women favored boys over girls, they also neglected an essential question. Were you a man or a woman? And when the feudal tradition was passed down from generation to generation, this group of stupid people did not realize this at all. This directly led to the current situation. Luo village was full of bachelors. There was a large group of people like Bachelor Wang, who could not even touch a finger of a woman in their lifetime. And when these people gathered together, they began to call each other brothers. The dozen or so people who rushed in with hoes were all old bachelors in the village, and they were all Bachelor Wang's brothers. This group of people even arranged their own ranks, calling themselves boss, second boss, and third boss. They even gave their own group a nickname, Bachelor's Alliance. This group of people also liked to talk about loyalty. Previously, a group of people in the village carried Wang Xingluan out, and it was in the hands of this group of people who called Wang Xingluan brothers. As a matter of fact, this group of people immediately came here with hoes to cause trouble. This group of old bachelors were all people who did not have a family, so they had nothing to worry about. In Luo village, they were also the kind of people who dared to do anything. A group of people walked into Lu Tai's courtyard in a grandiose manner. Standing at the front was an old man with a height of 1.8 meters. People called him Brother Hu, and it was said that he mingled in the streets of Xian City. Brother Hu was the boss of this group of people. But he was not alone. The reason why Brother Hu was so arrogant was because he was a member of Xian City's black market gang. Moreover, he was in existence with some status. Chapter 621. Lu Ziyun was also part of Xian City's underworld. After his mother, Qing Yu's birth mother, passed away in search of Qing Yu, Lu Ziyun dropped out of school right away. Since then, Lu Ziyun had fallen from grace. There was nothing Lu Tai could do about it. To Lu Ziyun, losing his mother was a reality that he could not accept. Lu Ziyun had been in the underworld for quite some time now. Lu Tai only knew that he had joined a gang in Xian City, but he did not know the details. Lu Ziyun had been in the underworld for so many years, but he was only at the bottom. Who was Brother Hu then? When Lu Ziyun had just joined the underworld, Brother Hu was already a high-ranking member of a big gang. Although Brother Hu was not a particularly reputable high-ranking member of the gang, Brother Hu's status was enough to crush Lu Ziyun. Hence, when Lu Ziyun saw Brother Hu, he was actually a little nervous and afraid. Naturally, Big Brother Tiger did not recognize a small fry like Lu Ziyun. But when Big Brother Tiger led his men into the courtyard of Lu Tai's house, he suddenly heard someone call out his name in a trembling voice. That person must have recognized him. Big Brother Tiger immediately became even more arrogant. Who would have thought that there would be someone who recognized him? Ha! Brother Hu's high-pitched voice dragged out as he led his men into the courtyard. He then walked around with the hoe in his hand. Suddenly, Brother Hu's gaze paused when he saw Yun Jian and Qing Yu. Oh my, these two youngsters are quite pretty. Brother Hu was a high-ranking member of a big gang in Xian City. He had played with countless women, but when he saw Yun Jian and Qing Yu, he felt like his world had changed. Yo 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 yo! Brother Hu whistled and sized up Yun Jian and Qing Yu with a roguish gaze before he tapped the ground with the hoe in his hand. You guys touched my third brother just now. Do you have a death wish? Brother Hu suddenly shouted. His arrogant voice sent chills down the spines of most of the people present. Lu Tai was just a villager. He had been honest and dutiful all his life and had never encountered something like this. He was afraid, but he pulled Qing Yu's hand in an attempt to shield her behind him. Your third brother? Ce lazily leaned against a corner of the wall. His eagle-like eyes had already turned to look at Brother Hu. His lazy tone carried an aura that couldn't be ignored. Mother****, it's that guy who you crippled. An old bachelor standing next to Brother Hu shouted at Ce in order to gain Brother Hu's favor. Heh! Ce smirked. He didn't feel threatened at all by the arrival of Brother Hu and his gang. Damn it! Are you guys looking for death? How dare you act so arrogantly after touching my people? F***ck. Brother Tiger swung his hoe and fiercely hacked at the ground. Then, Tiger seemed to have thought of something. He threw the hoe on the ground and carefully took out a real weapon from his pocket. F***ck. Do you think that I will be afraid of you just because you have guns? I also have a gun. Ha ha ha. I'm not afraid of you. Brother Hu knew that Bachelor Wang was crippled because he was shot in the groin, so he had prepared this weapon. Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and Lu Qi instinctively shuddered when they saw that Brother Hu had a gun. Chapter 622. Brother Hu's heart skipped a beat when he saw Yun Jian suddenly taking out a butterfly knife and twirling it around. F***ck. Brother Hu cussed in his heart. How could he be intimidated by a woman who had a knife in her hand? This was illogical. Looking at Yun Jian's exquisite face and the exquisite body wrapped in winter clothing, Brother Hu felt an itch in his heart. Do you know who I am? Brother Hu hooked the gun in his hand and turned it around to show off his cool to Yun Jian. After showing off his cool, Brother Hu was even more pleased with himself. He was a handsome man when he was young. Coupled with the way he twirled the gun around, it was enough to attract a large group of young women. Looking at Brother Hu's cool act in front of her, coupled with his overly muscular body that was close to fat, Yun Jian kept the butterfly knife in her palm. She looked at Brother Hu and said word by word, "You're a pig. You're a pig." Yun Jian had said that Brother Hu looked like a pig. Now that she thought about it, the Brother Hu in front of her did resemble a pig. Although a pig was not tall, Brother Hu was 1.8 meters tall. Brother Hu's muscular arms and fat legs were almost 4 to 5 times thicker than Yun Jian's. What else could he look like if not a pig? With Yun Jian's pointing, the few old bachelors beside Brother Hu were trying hard to hold back their laughter. Some of them were even laughing out loud. Brother Hu was the higher-up of Xian City's second-ranked gang. Many people in the underworld were afraid of Brother Hu, and yet Yun Jian called him a pig? Laugh, laugh, laugh your head off. Brother Hu turned his head to the side and roared at the group of old bachelors. Just as he finished, Brother Hu turned his gaze to Qing Yu and Lu Ziyun. Brother Hu said to Lu Ziyun directly, "You're from Xian City's underworld too, aren't you?" He. I heard that's your sister who just came back? She's not bad looking. Kid, lend me your sister to play with for a few days and I'll promote you to be my underling in our gang. How about that? Brother Hu said to Lu Ziyun as if he was the one who was at a disadvantage. Lu Ziyun had been trembling just a moment ago, but upon hearing Brother Hu's words, an indescribable rage suddenly erupted from within him. Qing Yu had suffered so much. Perhaps Lu Ziyun would blame his sister if he did not know. Even if Lu Ziyun did not know about Qing Yu's suffering, he only wanted to chase her away because he was too angry. Lu Ziyun was a gangster, but he was a man with dignity. There was no way that he would do something like exchange his sister for his position. Get. If you dare to touch my sister, I won't let you off even if I die. Lu Ziyun roared out. His weak and feeble demeanor had been completely reversed in an instant. Even Qing Yu was shocked. Brother! Qing Yu cried out, touched. F***ck. Brother Hu roared, looking back and forth between Qing Yu and Yun Jian. He was going to get rid of both of them today. Are you done with your last words? Just as Brother Hu was going crazy, Ce cold yet domineering voice came from the side. Ce changed his stance when he heard him. He was no longer leaning against the wall but was walking over. What last words? F***ck. Who do you think you are? Brother Hu yelled when he realized what was going on. He was infuriated by Ce's words. Looks like you're done. You can die now. Ce did not even look up. Then, he held the gun in his hand like a magic trick. I have a gun too. However, before Brother Hu could raise his gun, Ce's long fingers had already pulled the trigger. Bang. Chapter 623. Before Brother Hu could raise his gun and finish his sentence, a bright bullet shot through Brother Hu's head at a speed that was indiscernible to the naked eye. One shot, one life. Everyone present was scared to death by Ce's actions. Brother Hu's group of people were so frightened that they cried out on the spot. Each of them had a terrified and horrified expression on their faces. The group of people present were all from the countryside, and their education levels were similar. They had only graduated from elementary school. Therefore, when people here encountered problems, they had no awareness of the law. They only knew how to form gangs and bring their brothers to fight. It was also because of this that Brother Hu's group didn't go to the police when Wang Single got into trouble. Instead, they carried hoes and came to cause trouble for Ce. The people in the countryside had a weak awareness of the law. When something happened, they would usually find someone to solve it themselves. Naturally, it was not uncommon for both sides to fight until their heads bled. However, for CE to kill someone as soon as he appeared, and the person he killed was a high-ranking member of a gang in Xian City, this kind of thing was simply unheard of. Although Brother Tiger's group of Bachelor Alliance brothers were also people who often fought, and they often fought until their heads bled, Brother Tiger didn't care. Therefore, no one would be surprised if there was a little blood. However, the death of one person was not a small matter. Most importantly, Brother Hu was a high-ranking member of the second-ranked gang in Xian City. If the gangs in Xian City were to blame them, none of them would have an easy time. For a moment, Brother Hu's group of brothers were all frightened out of their wits. Murder, murder. You killed someone. Someone pointed at CE and said in an extremely terrified tone. Do you know who you killed? That's a high-ranking member of the second-ranked gang in Xian City. You're finished. One of Brother Hu's brothers shouted at CE and Yunjian in astonishment. How dare you look at my woman like that? Do you still think you can live? Don't even think about leaving today. CE's slender fingers lightly flicked the muzzle of his gun. He cast a sidelong glance at the group of people as if he was looking at a group of dead people. CE killed someone just because they looked at Yunjian that way? Coupled with the fact that CE had crippled Wang Guoguang's family jewels. Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and Lu Qi were already scared out of their wits. But now, a sense of horror welled up in their hearts. Brother Tiger's group of brothers immediately realized this. From CE's words, he was going to kill all of them? Brother Tiger's group of brothers panicked. He was even more terrified than Brother Tiger dying in front of him. Ah! I don't want to die! The group of people howled. They no longer pretended to be manly as they turned around and ran away. CE narrowed his eyes and raised his gun. He was the leader of the Anhun organization and had never cared about human lives. The reason he did not kill before was for Xiao Jian's sake. However, the same thing could not happen more than 3 times. This group of people had repeatedly violated his bottom line. Based on his personality, he should have killed them all. No, don't. Young man, you can't. Lu Tai was kind-hearted. Despite his fear, he ran up to CE and blocked CE from killing more people. Let them go, Yunjian said when she saw the situation. Brother Tiger's group of brothers also took advantage of this time to run away without leaving a trace. Lu Tai suppressed his fear instantly. Lu Qi, on the other hand, was rooted to the spot dumbly. There was only endless fear in her. The man of the friend Qing you brought back had killed someone. Chapter 624. Lu Tai heaved a sigh of relief when he saw CE put the gun away. In spite of it, he still shuddered when he saw Brother Hu's body on the floor. In the end, Lu Tai went over to give CE a shove before calling Lu Ziyun, Lu Qi, Qing Yu, and Yun Jian over. Go! All of you go! All of you go! Lu Tai began to chase them away. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi were among those who were chased away. Dad! You! Lu Ziyun's eyes widened as he stared at Lu Tai in disbelief. Go! Don't say anything else. Xiao Yun, go to the room and take out the metal box under Dad's bed. It contains the rest of our family's money. Take all of it and run. Run as far as you can. Don't ever come back. Lu Tai frowned and said with a pale face. And Xueqi, my good child, you go too. Lu Tai urged with a smile that was uglier than a crying face. Xiao Yun, promise me you'll take good care of your sister. Lu Tai turned to Lu Ziyun and said. Lu Tai's order made Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi's faces even paler. They also realized the seriousness of the matter. Lu Tai was just a farmer from Luo village, but Brother Hu was a high-ranking member of Xian City's second gang. Although Brother Hu was not killed by Lu Tai, he died in his own home. The second gang in Xian City was stirring up trouble. Not only did they collect protection fees from those who worked hard in Xian City, they also exploited the common people. Even if one of their brothers died, the second gang would implicate Lu Tai's family, let alone the death of a high-ranking member of Xian City's second gang. Lu Tai was an honest man. Although CE was the one who killed him, CE would have to go to jail if this matter was blown out of proportion. He might even be executed. Lu Tai could not bear to see such a good child's life ruined just like that. After all, this was caused by Brother Hu and his gang. Although Lu Tai believed that Ce was being impulsive, he did not want to leave this place. On the other hand, Lu Tai himself was reluctant to leave the place where he had spent his entire life with his late wife. But considering his children, he decided to bring Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi along as well. Dad? We didn't kill them, so why should we run? Lu Qi was from Xian City, so she had naturally heard of the power of the second gang in Xian City. However, she couldn't understand why they had to run away when they weren't the ones who killed this man. Lu Tai's actions were obvious. He wanted to take the blame for Ce. Ce's black eyes flashed twice. He was also somewhat surprised. This person actually wanted to take the blame for him? Little Qi, listen to me. Lu Tai made up his mind and shouted at Lu Qi. No, Dad. Lu Qi treated Lu Tai like a father and daughter. Perhaps Lu Qi was not friendly to Qing Yu, but she did not have any other thoughts toward Lu Tai. Just as Lu Tai and the other two were panicking, Yun Jian turned to look at Lu Tai and said, "No one needs to run." Lu Tai was stunned. He glanced at Yun Jian in surprise. But this? Qing Yu, take that out. Yun Jian turned to look at Qing Yu and ordered. Okay, Sister Jian. Qing Yu nodded and took out an airtight container from her small bag while Lu Tai and his family watched in bewilderment. The airtight container was small, similar to those used for chemistry experiments, but it was airtight and the body fluid inside would not be poured out. After Qing Yu took it out, she followed Yun Jian's instructions and went to Brother Hu's body under the family's shocked gazes. She opened the container and poured the fluid all over Brother Hu's body. Chapter 625. Lu Tai and the other two were already surprised when Yun Jian called Qing Yu, Qing Yu. After all, Qing Yu was only Lu Xian to the three of them. Come to think of it, Qing Yu had been away from home for so many years. According to her, she had even lived in an assassin organization. How could she have been using the name Lu Xian? Therefore, the three of them were relieved. What did Qing Yu do though? She took out a sealed container that looked like it was from a chemical experiment. After opening it, she poured all the water in the sealed container onto Tiger's body. Here came the frightening part. Lu Tai had been a farmer his whole life. He had been a down-to-earth person, earning the fruits of his labor with his hard work. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi, who lived in the countryside, did not have much exposure to such things. Brother Hu turned into a puddle of blood. This scene completely shocked the three of them. Ah! Corpse! Corpse! Corpse turned into a puddle of blood. The scene was even more shocking than Brother Hu being shot dead by Ce. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, Lu Qi would not have believed such an unrealistic thing. Lu Qi was already shrieking in shock. He covered his eyes and squatted down, trembling. This. Lu Tai was shocked as well. Lu Ziyun's mental fortitude was much better than Lu Qi and Lu Tai's, but when Lu Ziyun first saw this scene, the shock he received was no less than Lu Tai's. Little sister, you. Lu Ziyun's mouth was agape as he put on a look of disbelief. Qing Yu put the lid back on after pouring the liquid from the sealed container, and hid the item back into her bunny-patterned bag. Qing Yu turned around and explained to the three of them, "Dad, don't be scared. This is corpse-dissolving water. You'll be fine as long as you don't touch it." Younger sister, how could you bring such a dangerous thing with you? You. Before Lu Ziyun could finish his sentence, Qing Yu interrupted him. Qing Yu smiled and turned to Lu Ziyun to say, "Brother, it's fine. Her bag has been modified. The material is special. Even if the liquid in the container spills out, it won't flow out of the bag." Yun Jian walked up to Qing Yu and explained. Yun Yi, who was standing beside Qing Yu, was equally shocked. Ce calmly covered Xiao Yunju's eyes, not letting Xiao Yunju see the bloody scene. Of course, Ce himself maintained his composure without a flicker in his eyes. Heh. Qing Yu turned to smile at Yun Jian. Her delicate baby face looked very gorgeous. As Lu Tai and the other two men panicked once more, Qing Yu patted her bulging bag and teased Yun Jian mischievously. "Sister Jian, this dissolving water is very expensive. I couldn't bear to sell it even when someone offered $10 million. You have to reward me well." Without a doubt, the corpse-dissolving water was the best divine tool for destroying corpses. You can pick any of the branches under my name. Yun Jian crossed her arms and replied to Qing Yu with a smile. The conversation between Yun Jian and Qing Yu made Yun Yi, who was clueless about the situation, suspicious. Ce was unfazed. Their conversation, however, had Lu Tai and the other two men rooted to the spot, dumbfounded. What? What? The corpse-dissolving water in Qing Yu's hand was worth 10 million US dollars. US dollars. In 1998, a family in Luo village would only need a few hundred yuan for a month's living expenses if they had a simple meal. 10 million US dollars worth of corpse-dissolving water. What did that mean? Chapter 626. Yun Jian had many subsidiary companies in her past life. When she was reborn, the company she stole from with her hacking skills had many subsidiary companies. But that company was managed by one of Yun Jian's subordinates with the codename Alluring Demoness. The company that Alluring Demoness was in charge of was known as subsidiary companies in other regions and not in the headquarters. Subsidiary companies were not the head office. These subsidiary companies under Yun Jian, even if it was just a subsidiary company, had at least 100 million USD worth of wealth. Haha, thank you, Sister Jian. Qing Yu smiled sweetly. It was a mischievous grin. Lu Tai and the other two were rooted to the spot. Lu Tai was just a villager. To him, if he had more than 10,000 USD in cash, he would be considered one of the wealthiest families in Luo village. After all, the people in Luo village were basically poor and economically backward. Those who were rich had gone to the big cities to develop themselves. Most of those who stayed in Luo village could not leave. 10 million USD. When Qing Yu said that the thing she had was worth 10 million USD, she used it just like that. In comparison, Lu Qi's reaction was the most intense. In the beginning, when Qing Yu came back, Lu Qi treated her purely as a slave. Lu Qi had even made Qing Yu wash all the clothes in the house and made things difficult for her. Qing Yu did not say a single word of objection. Lu Qi, Lu Ziyun, and Lu Tai knew that Qing Yu was rich. After all, Qing Yu was wearing branded coats when she came back. They did not expect Qing Yu to be so rich. They did not expect Qing Yu's friend to be so rich as well. She offered to give Qing Yu a subsidiary company right off the bat. A subsidiary company was still a company. This young girl was frighteningly capable. Dad, why are you guys afraid of this person? Qing Yu turned to ask Lu Tai after her interaction with Yun Jian. This person was naturally referring to Brother Tiger. Yun Jian watched with her arms crossed. Sigh. At this moment, Lu Tai sighed and shook his head. Sis, you should be asking me about this. As he spoke, Lu Ziyun scratched his head and said with a tinge of shame, Don't laugh at me. I'm also from the streets of Xian City. With that, Lu Ziyun's face turned serious. That brother who is one of the higher-ups of Xian City's number 2 triad. If he was just a higher-up, we wouldn't have to be so afraid. But the problem lies with this brother who. His sister is the daughter-in-law of the number 2 triad. The second leader dotes on his wife very much, and the second leader and the first leader of the second gang in Xian City are blood brothers, and they are as close as real brothers. If something happens to Brother Tiger, it will directly involve the big boss of Xian City's second gang. The second gang's status in Xian City is not ordinary. I'm just a small punk, and my family is just an ordinary family. There's no way we can fight against the second gang in Xian City. That was why Lu Tai reacted so violently after Ce killed Brother Hu. Then what should we do? Lu Qi shouted in fear. Then Lu Qi glared fiercely at Yun Jian and Ce and shouted at them, This is all your fault. You'll have to take responsibility. Don't drag my family into this. Of course we won't let your family take responsibility. Yun Jian glanced at Lu Qi. Yun Jian naturally wouldn't let Lu Tai's family bear the consequences. But Lu Qi's words made her very unhappy. Let's go, Ce suddenly spoke, uttering the word curtly. You still want to leave? Then what about my family? We'll all be killed by the second gang. Do you even have a conscience? Lu Qi was so scared that she was about to cry. She thought Ce was really going to leave. If you don't want to die, then destroy it first. Ce held Xiao Yunju's hand and spoke in an extremely calm tone. What? Destroy the second gang? How is that possible? With just the two of you? Lu Qi's eccentric voice sounded once again. Chapter 627. Ha! Ce scoffed softly at Lu Qi's words. Ignoring Lu Qi, he pulled Xiao Yunzhu outside. For Yunjian's sake, Ce had already shown mercy by not killing Lu Qi on the spot. If they stayed any longer, Ce would only feel the urge to shoot them dead. Ce had always been decisive, unlike Lu Qi's family who was overly cautious. Taking 2 steps toward the door, Ce turned back and walked to Yunjian, holding Yunjian's hand with his other hand and heading out. Qingyu followed when she saw Yunjian heading out. Sister Jian, I'm going too. Since Qingyu wanted to go, Yunyi wanted to follow as well. Don't go, all of you. Take care of my brother. Yunjian suddenly told Qingyu before she took Xiao Yunzhu from Ce's hand and passed Xiao Yunzhu's to Qingyu. Qingyu listened to Yunjian, answering as soon as Yunjian spoke. I'll lead the way. Lu Ziyun suddenly spoke up after a few seconds of hesitation. Yunjian did not reject him. Just as he finished speaking, the sound of an alarm came from the entrance of the village. Luo village was quiet, but the siren from the village entrance sounded abruptly. As the sound came closer, Lu Tai and his friends paled in fright. It's police cars. This sound was heard when someone got into a gang fight and injured someone in our village. Dad, the police are here. Lu Qi grabbed Lu Tai's hand and shouted in panic. There was a police station in the town near Luo village. Brother Hu and his gang who came to cause trouble were all from Luo village. Naturally, they had gone to the town's police station to report the incident. Sure enough, not long after the sirens sounded, 3 unique police cars drove in from the corner. Several police officers immediately got out of the 3 police cars and pointed their stun batons at Ce, Yunjian, and the others. Someone reported that you killed someone. Come back to the police station with us now. One of the more mature-looking male police officers came over and said. Then, this group of police officers also checked inside and outside Lu Tai's house. He didn't find anything out of the ordinary. After Qingyu turned Brother Hu's body into a puddle of blood, he cleaned it up without leaving a trace. Not a single trace was left at the scene. No, I'm not going. I'm not going. We didn't kill her. It was him. It was this person. You can catch him. Lu Qi pointed at Ce and shouted. The group of policemen ignored Lu Qi and took everyone present away. Ce and Yunjian did not resist. Everyone was brought to a police station called Shangjie Town, which was closest to Luo village. 2 hours later, everyone was released without charges. The moment they walked out of the police station, Lu Tai and the other 2 were dumbfounded. Lu Ziyun was even more incredulous. Looking at Ce who managed to walk out unscathed after killing Brother Hu just now, Lu Ziyun's heart raced wildly. How did we get bailed out so quickly? Lu Ziyun turned to look at Ce and asked suspiciously. It was Brother Hu whom Ce had killed. Yet, they were all released without charges? Ce ignored Lu Ziyun. Ce held on to Xiao Yunzhu with one hand and Yunjian with the other as they walked out of the police station. Just as they stepped out of the police station, someone came up to them. Chapter 628. Ce nodded slightly as if everything was under his control. In spite of it, Adam's sudden appearance and his words shocked Lu Tai, Lu Ziyun, and Lu Qi who had followed them out of the police station. The second mafia group in Xian City was second only to the first mafia group in Xian City. In Xian City, the second mafia group was an existence that could cover half the sky with one hand. Such a large mafia group was annihilated by this man who addressed Ce as young master? How was that possible? Who are you lying to? You annihilated the second mafia group? We've only been in the police station for 2 hours. How could you annihilate a powerful mafia group like the second mafia group? I don't believe it. Lu Qi said bluntly. Enough, Xiao Qi. Seeing how Lu Qi kept speaking, and how every word that came out of her mouth was overbearing, even her brother Lu Ziyun could not bear to watch any longer. He immediately roared at Lu Qi. Stop it! Gu you! Lu Qi was unrepentant. Young master, this woman dares to question you. Do you need me to kill her? Adam was a violent man. He was not afraid that they were in the police station, so he pulled out the Desert Eagle from his belt and pointed it at Lu Qi. Lu Qi screamed again, hugging her head when she saw the real gun. No need. Let's go, Yunjian told Adam. How could he disobey the young madam's order? Adam did not forget that Ce had warned them not too long ago. Yunjian's words were his orders and everyone in an Hun group had to obey. Otherwise, they would be punished severely. Yes, Adam replied, and then he kept the Desert Eagle. Lu Qi breathed a sigh of relief after walking through the gates of hell once again. She was so scared that she almost lost her life. No one cared about Lu Qi's reaction. Ce turned to look at Adam and continued, I'll leave everything here to you. Take care of everything. Did that mean that they were leaving? Qingyu quickly asked Yunjian. Sister Jian, you guys are going back to Longmen City? Yes. Yunjian nodded. Since she could not stay in Qingyu's house any longer, she naturally left. Oh. Qingyu was reluctant. In fact, Qingyu was truly reluctant to part with Yun-Yi. If Ce and Yunjian were leaving, did that mean that Yun-Yi was leaving too? Yun-Yi suddenly spoke to Yunjian. Xiaojian, I'll stay here for a while. I'll return to Longmen City after everything's settled. You guys go first. When Yunjian heard this, she immediately nodded. Yes. Therefore, Yun-Yi had a legitimate reason to stay. Adam also stayed behind to deal with the aftermath. Since Ce had killed Brother Hu, she should at least settle everything before leaving. On the other hand, Ce led Yunjian and Xiao Yunju away. Before they left, Ce tossed the keys to her Lamborghini sports car to Adam for him to drive back. The reason why Adam could reach Xian City within 2 hours and annihilate the city's second-ranked mafia group was that he had taken a private helicopter over after receiving the news. The journey that was supposed to take at least 7 to 8 hours was a short while by helicopter. As for Adam's private helicopter, it was snatched away by Ce right away. Adam's private helicopter was parked in a large open space. There was a pilot in the private helicopter as well. Ce and Yunjian came here with Xiao Yunju. Ce picked up Xiao Yunju, who was currently looking at the helicopter in amazement, swaying his head curiously. Chapter 629. Xiao Yunju shook his head quickly and answered obediently, No. Xiao Yunju then turned to Yunjian and asked with a pout, How about Jejie? Have you been in a helicopter before? Faced with such an obedient Xiao Yunju, Yunjian could not bear to lie. She nodded and said, Oh. Xiao Yunju nodded again. Ce had already squatted down to carry Xiao Yunju, and put Xiao Yunju on the back seat of the helicopter that was parked on the lawn. The helicopter was parked on the ground, not too far away from the ground. Ce turned to hold Yunjian's hand and went to the back seat of the helicopter. After closing the side door, the pilot in front operated the helicopter to take off. Oh, we're flying! Xiao Yunju exclaimed happily by the window at the back seat of the helicopter. He even spread his arms in excitement. Sit tight and don't move around, Yunjian could not help calling out to him. Seeing how happy Xiao Yunju was, Yunjian's heart warmed from the bottom of her heart as well. It was to the extent that Ce kept holding Yunjian's hand. Even when he rubbed her soft hand with his large palm and took advantage of her, Yunjian did not notice it at all. The helicopter reached Longmen City in just an hour. The helicopter had to land on a flat and spacious ground. It could not land anywhere. Therefore, the pilot who had been flying the helicopter without uttering a word found an empty spot to land. After Ce pulled Yunjian and Xiao Yunju down, the pilot drove the helicopter away. Jejie, Ce, Gij, Xiao Zhu wants to fly a helicopter in the future too. Xiao Yunju's eyes shone as if he had found his lifelong goal. He was beside himself with excitement. Yunjian rubbed Xiao Yunju's head with a warm smile. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. Initially, they had planned to stay the night at Qingyu's house and return home the next day. However, with so many things happening and Lu Qi around, they could not stay at Lu Tai's house any longer. Therefore, Yunjian and Ce brought Xiao Yunju back to Longmen City. When he got home, he saw Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian sitting on the sofa in the living room, chatting happily. After a whole day of thinking, Qin Yiru came to a decision. Although she had not known Gu Junjian for long, it was hard to meet a soulmate. This kind of relationship was also fate. Qin Yiru had listened to Zhang Meihua back then and married Yun Gang dutifully. Not only did she ruin her own life, She almost ruined Yi and Xiao Zhen's lives as well. Gu Junjian was an upright person. If she still considered him, wouldn't she be humiliating herself? Therefore, Qin Yiru agreed to Gu Junjian swiftly. Both of them were watching TV on the sofa in the living room, thinking of coming up with an excuse and telling Yun Jian and Yun Yi when they came back to seek their approval. Unexpectedly, once the door opened, Yun Jian and Ce came back with Xiao Yunju. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian were still stuck close to each other. Caught out of the blue, Qin Yiru jumped in fright and almost slipped on the floor. Gu Junjian reacted quickly and caught Qin Yiru's hand. Xiao Jian, why are you guys back so soon? Qin Yiru asked guiltily. Gu said he wants to stay there for a few days, so we came back first, Yun Jian explained briefly. Qin Yiru's expression turned serious as she told Yun Jian with mixed feelings. Xiao Jian, Mom has something to tell you. Chapter 630. What? Xiao Jian, you know about it? Qin Yiru was still hanging her head, thinking about how she should tell Yun Jian about it. She did not expect Yun Jian to already know about it. Mom, as long as you're doing well and happy, I won't object. I'll support you with everything I have, Yun Jian said from the bottom of her heart. Humans had feelings. Although Yun Jian was a secret agent in her past life, she had already treated Qin Yiru as her biological mother in this life. What Qin Yiru did for her and her brother could not be expressed in a few words. Yun Jian also knew that no one would do more for her than Qin Yiru. This was motherly love. Of course, if Ce heard what Yun Jian said from the bottom of her heart, he would be the first to stand up for her. After Yun Jian said what she said, Qin Yiru's eyes were already moist. Her Xiao Jian had really grown up. Qin Yiru still remembered that her daughter was quite willful when she was young, and her results had always been mediocre. It was only when the first semester of the third year of junior high school started that her results gradually improved. Before she transferred from Xinjiang town to Longmen City, she had even gotten first place in the 5-school joint examination. Qin Yiru was so proud back then. Xiao Jian. Qin Yiru's tears were about to fall. Mom, don't cry. If you cry, I might disagree. Yun Jian chuckled. Amused by Yun Jian, Qin Yiru held back her tears and smiled through her tears. Gu Junjian had been standing beside Qin Yiru, patting Qin Yiru's shoulder to comfort her. I wonder if Xiao Yi will agree, Qin Yiru muttered to herself with a frown when the atmosphere changed. After all, to Qin Yiru, if either her son or daughter disagreed with her marriage to Gu Junjian, there was no chance of it happening. To Qin Yiru, Yun Jian and Yun Yi were her life support and hope. Mom, brother will definitely agree. I'm sure of it, Yun Jian said with a smile. Her brother, Yun Yi, still wanted Qin Yiru to agree to him and Qin Yu. Moreover, Yun Yi would definitely want Qin Yiru to live well. Qin Yiru was relieved even though she did not hear Yun Yi's reply. Mom, let's go upstairs then, Yun Jian said to Qin Yiru and held Xiao Yunju's hand as they went upstairs. Qin Yiru nodded. She was already happily sitting down to discuss the marriage with Gu Junjian. Gu Junjian's parents were no longer around. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian were both married for the second time, so their wedding could be slightly simpler. However, the necessary ceremony had to be completed. Of course, it was still early for the wedding. At this moment, Yun Jian was already holding Xiao Yunju's hand as they walked to his room. Xiao Yunju was already sleeping alone. It was already past 8 o'clock at night. Xiao Yunju was still in his puberty stage, so he was already dozing off. Yun Jian accompanied Xiao Yunju to his small bed in his room, turned off the lights and closed the door for Xiao Yunju before returning to her room. Xiao Zhu is asleep? Ce stood at the door and asked when she saw Yun Jian coming out. Yun Jian nodded. Yun Jian yawned after she finished speaking, feeling sleepy all of a sudden. I'm going back to my room too. Good night. Yun Jian turned to tell Ce before she turned a corner and returned to her room sleepily. Chapter 631. Yun Jian's back was facing Ce just now, so she had her back to Ce when she entered the room. She had planned to lean her back against the door to close it and lock it, but she did not expect Ce to be one step ahead of her and enter the room first. Just as Ce entered the room, He scooped Yunjian up and pressed Yunjian onto the big bed not far away. Siyi's arms were wrapped around Yunjian's waist as he pressed Yunjian on the bed. Yunjian's back happened to be leaning against him. Yunjian was still wearing her pajamas earlier, but her sleepiness was all gone when she was suddenly pressed down. It was also at that moment that her cheeks flushed. The white lights in the room were on and the temperature was rising bit by bit. Yunjian could even feel Siyi's breathing growing heavier on her back. Xiaojian. Siyi's masculine voice sounded like a starving beast that suddenly found food but dared not strike. Yunjian was startled. She could clearly feel that Siyi's actions today were more uncontrollable than before. You. Before Yunjian could speak, Siyi had already flipped Yunjian over and kissed Yunjian's beautiful lips fiercely, tossing and turning. Unlike the gentle kisses in the past, this kiss was heavy and ferocious, like a torrential river. Yunjian's heart was about to stop. As they kissed, Yunjian's gaze gradually blurred. While Yunjian was being kissed passionately, she suddenly felt a chill in front of her chest. Unbeknownst to her, her jacket and thermal underwear had been taken off. Yunjian was startled as Siyi's large palm moved to her bra. She pressed Siyi's palm down in time. Siyi was obviously intoxicated by the fragrant body. This was something he had never experienced before. Other than the tights on her lower body that were still intact, Yunjian's upper body was only left with a bra. Her ample bosom was wrapped by the bra as she lay beneath Siyi, fueling Siyi's desire. Finally extricating herself from Siyi's lips, Yunjian was pinned down and unable to move. Still, she panted a few times and blurted out what she wanted to say. "What's wrong with you?" Siyi hugged her and bent over, burying his head on Yunjian's collarbone under her chin and asked, "Is your mom moving to go Yunjian's house after she gets married?" Yeah. What's wrong?" Yunjian nodded. "Are you going to follow her?" This was what Siyi wanted to ask the most. Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru's wedding date shouldn't be too long. If Yunjian were to move out, how long would it take for him to see her again? If my mom moves to Officer Ji's house, I'll naturally follow her. Not only me, but Xiao Zhu will also go. Alright, my brother will too. After all, this isn't my house. My mom has been here for so long that she's actually quite embarrassed. Before Yunjian could finish her sentence, she felt a shadow covering her lips again. What followed was a long period of demanding. It was only when Yunjian was about to suffocate from the kiss that Siyi finally let go of her lips. Yunjian didn't understand what Siyi meant. If Qin Yiru were to marry Gu Junjian, she would naturally move out. And Yunjian would definitely move out with Qin Yiru. Xiao Yunzhu and Yun Yi would also move out. Yunjian couldn't figure out what he was angry about. Just as Siyi lowered his head to cover her lips again, Yunjian suddenly turned her head and asked him, "What's wrong with you today?" Chapter 632. Just as Siyi was about to kiss her passionately, the door suddenly opened. The door opened all of a sudden as Yunzhu popped his head in. When Siyi entered the room, he locked the door. However, his heart was on Yunjian when he locked the door, so he only locked it halfway. The door wasn't locked properly. Xiao Yunzhu was about to fall asleep in his room when he suddenly remembered that he had something to tell his sister. He ran to Yunjian's room to tell her about it. When the door opened, Xiao Yunzhu's head popped in. He opened the door excitedly and said, Sister, Xiao Zhu forgot to tell you that the school is having a parent-child sports day next week. Can sister and brother Siyi attend Xiao Zhu's sports day together?" Before Xiao Zhu could finish his sentence, he had already opened the door and peeked in. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. His brother Siyi was on top of his sister. "Brother Siyi, how could you hit sister?" Xiao Yunzhu's words came to an abrupt end as he ran in with his short legs. When she heard Xiao Yunzhu's voice, Yunjian jumped in fright. She hurriedly pushed Siyi. At this moment, Xiao Yunzhu had already run to the side of the big bed. He walked over and cried, "Boo-hoo, brother Siyi, please don't hit sister. Xiao Zhu will be obedient. Brother Siyi, please don't hit sister." When Xiao Yunzhu cried, Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian, who were downstairs, also burst into tears. At this moment, Siyi immediately got up from Yunjian's body and covered Xiao Yunzhu's eyes. Yunjian used this time to quickly put on the clothes that Siyi had taken off and sat on the bed with a guilty conscience. Qin Yiru and Gu Junjian heard the commotion and ran upstairs. What's wrong? What's wrong? Qin Yiru was so frightened that she threw away the TV remote control in her hand. When she heard Xiao Yunju's cries, she immediately ran upstairs as fast as she could. Gu Junjian also ran upstairs as fast as he could to Yunjian's bedroom. When he reached Yunjian's bedroom, Qin Yiru asked, "What's wrong? Xiaozhu, what's wrong?" When he reached the door, he saw Ce carrying Xiao Yunju in the room. Yunjian was sitting upright on the bed like a student who had been caught absent-mindedly by the teacher. When she saw Qin Yiru appear at the door, Yunjian smiled and said to Qin Yiru, "Mom, it's nothing. We were just playing a game with Xiaozhu." He cried when Xiaozhu lost. Yunjian then turned to look at Xiaozhu and said symbolically, "I told you that a man shouldn't cry. Xiaozhu, do you understand?" Yunjian had no choice but to use her brother as a shield. Xiao Yunju didn't know about this at all. He only knew that Ce was biting his sister. The teacher said that biting meant hitting, so Xiao Yunju told him the truth. "No, Jejie, you're lying." Xiaozhu was sleeping and suddenly remembered that Xiaozhu had something to tell Jejie. So Xiaozhu came to Jejie's room and saw Ce, Gij hitting Jejie. "Hey, you hit Xiao Jian." Qin Yiru was shocked. Chapter 633. Little Yunju's self-righteous words stunned Qin Yiru, who was rooted to the spot in bewilderment. Yunjian wanted to facepalm and sigh. Xiao Yunju, on the other hand, had no idea that he had said something wrong. Instead, he complained even more vigorously, "Mama Qin, see, Gij is mean." As he spoke, Xiao Yunju struggled out of Ce's embrace and ran to Yunjian to grab Yunjian's hand. He looked at Yunjian with his chubby cheeks and told Yunjian, "Jejie, does it hurt?" "Ce, Gij is mean. I'll hit him for you." As he spoke, Xiao Yunju ran to Ce and patted Ce's sleeve softly before running to Yunjian to tell her, "Haha, Jejie, Ce, Gij was hit by Xiaozhu. It doesn't hurt." Xiao Yunju broke into a bright grin as he spoke. Qin Yiru, who stood at the door and did not enter the house, was completely dumbfounded. She had just snapped out of the joy of Yunjian agreeing to her marriage with Gu Junjian when she heard this all of a sudden. "Eh, and Xiao Jian, how could this be?" Qin Yiru stared at the scene in shock, unable to snap out of her panic for a long time. Gu Junjian, who stood beside Qin Yiru, knew about Ce and Yunjian's situation and could only sigh with a hand on his forehead. How could Xiaozhu be so good at making things happen? She was actually able to tell the whole story so quickly. Perhaps Xiao Yunju felt that he was not strong enough, so he asked innocently, "Jejie, why aren't you saying anything? Did Xiaozhu not hurt Ce Gij?" But the teacher said it's not good to bite. Ce Gij can bite Jejie, but Xiaozhu can't bite Ce Gij. The teacher said that biting is a bad child and needs to be spanked. Xiaozhu's innocent words made Yunjian feel even more awkward. Being grabbed by Qin Yiru all of a sudden, Yunjian was caught off guard. Yunjian had learned how to kill and how to kill someone with a single blow. She had also learned medical skills and hacking, but she had never learned how to handle such a situation. Cough. "Xiaozhu, come out. Uncle will accompany you to sleep." Gu Junjian knew that it would be terrible if the situation continued. If Xiao Yunju said anything else, Qin Yiru would probably overthink. Therefore, Gu could only take Xiao Yunju away first. "Why? Uncle Gu, Xiaozhu won't leave. If Xiaozhu leaves, what will happen if Ce Gij bullies Jejie?" Xiao Yunju pouted and frowned. His expression was uglier than anyone else's. It was as if Ce had really bullied Yunjian. "With your mother here, your Ce Gij won't bully your Jejie." Gu Junjian was speechless. He looked at Xiao Yunju and waved at Xiao Yunju again. But Xiao Yunju turned his tender face to Yunjian. Seeing that Yunjian seemed fine, he nodded and walked over to Gu Junjian. "All right." When he walked over to Gu Junjian, Xiao Yunju couldn't help but turn to Qin Yiru and say, "Mother Qin, don't let Ce Gij bully Jejie. Jejie will be in pain. Xiaozhu will go to sleep first." With that, Xiao Yunju rubbed his eyes. At this moment, Xiao Yunju was carried by Gu Junjian. Chapter 634. Qin Yiru watched in a daze as Gu Junjian brought Xiao Yunju back to his room to sleep. It was only then that Qin Yiru shifted her gaze back to Yunjian and Ce. Looking at Ce and Yunjian, she opened her mouth and finally uttered, "Come out with me." Qin Yiru spoke in a serious tone when she said that. Her stern tone made Yunjian's eyelids twitch. She had never heard Qin Yiru speak to anyone in such a serious tone. After all, Qin Yiru had always presented herself as meek. It was not that Qin Yiru could only present herself as meek. It was just that Yunjian was not used to her being so stern all of a sudden. In spite of it, Yunjian followed her out as well. Ce's tall frame trailed behind Yunjian. He did not utter a word facing Qin Yiru. If it were not for Qin Yiru, Yunjian's mother, he would never have followed her so obediently. Who was he? Lung Pavilion's young master, the leader of an Hun group. No matter which identity he had, it was enough to shock the entire world. Today, however, he listened to Qin Yiru obediently and followed her downstairs. "Come over here, stand here." Qin Yiru frowned, a rare sense of unease evident on her face. Yunjian could not help gulping as well. Xiao Jian is my child. She's an obedient child. I've always thought that you're an upright child, but you've disappointed me so much. Qin Yiru looked at Ce as she spoke to Ce, looking uneasy. To Qin Yiru, her daughter and son were her life. She was even willing to exchange her own life for the lives of her daughter and son. Qin Yiru instantly understood what Xiao Yunju said just now as Ce had forced Yunjian, which was why she spoke to Ce so earnestly. "Auntie, Ce spoke, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Qin Yiru. Other than Yunjian, the only person who dared to interrupt Ce was Qin Yiru, whom Yunjian cared about. Qin Yiru had no idea that if she was not Yunjian's birth mother, she would not even be standing here lecturing Ce. Right now, the young master of Cold Pavilion, the leader of an Hun group, was standing in front of Qin Yiru and being taught a lesson by Qin Yiru as an elder. "Don't say it yet," Qin Yiru called out before she continued. "I've already told you everything. Auntie likes you a lot, child, but how could you do this to Xiao Jian? What if you get Xiao Jian pregnant? What are we going to do? Xiao Jian is still a virgin." Qin Yiru's tears were about to fall as she spoke. She tugged at Yunjian's hand as the misunderstanding deepened. "Xiao Jian, let's go. We're leaving today. We can't stay in this house anymore. I'll take you away." Qin Yiru thought that Yunjian had been eaten by Ce. As she spoke, Qin Yiru was about to pull Yunjian upstairs. Qin Yiru was filled with regret. She had always thought that Ce was an obedient child. She did not expect him to do something like this. Her Xiao Jian. How could this happen? Qin Yiru felt deeply moved, like she was living under someone else's roof. She hated herself. She shouldn't have come here and sent her daughter into the wolf's mouth. Once she thought about how this was not the first time Ce had done something so overboard to Xiao Jian, Qin Yiru was so angry that she could barely breathe. Chapter 635. Qin Yiru thought that Xiao Jian was being forced and was not willing, so she had the urge to run away with her daughter when it came to Ce. "Mom!" Yunjian was shocked by Qin Yiru's emotional outburst as well. To Yunjian, Qin Yiru had always been an amiable person. She did not expect Qin Yiru to go this far for her. Just as Qin Yiru was about to drag Yunjian up to the second floor to pack her luggage and leave, she pulled Yunjian up the stairs before she could explain herself. Ce was currently standing on the flat ground on the first floor. With long strides, he reached the stairs in 2 steps and grabbed the railing of the stairs with his large, well-defined palm before stepping lightly on the ground with 1 foot. In the next second, he leaped to the 5th step of the stairs from the flat ground, blocking Qin Yiru, who was about to run up the stairs. "Auntie," Ce called out softly. Qin Yiru was obviously fuming, but she could not bring herself to throw a tantrum at Ce. After all, the child treated Xiao Yunju, Yunjian, and their family well. Moreover, after spending so many days together, humans were sentimental creatures. To Qin Yiru, she treated Ce as her own child. Qin Yiru also knew that Ce did not have a mother since he was young. It was said that he came from a wealthy family. Qin Yiru did not know much about it, but Qin Yiru heard from Dong Yuan that Ce's father had never treated him like his own child. Therefore all this while, Qin Yiru truly treated Ce as her own child and doted on him. Qin Yiru was indeed fuming just now, which was why she pulled Yunjian away without waiting for Ce to speak. Qin Yiru's anger had subsided quite a bit now. Although she planned to listen to Ce, Qin Yiru still turned her head away. Auntie, I'm sincere to Xiao Jian. If there's any falsehood in what I'm saying now, you can kill me right now. Ce's words were shocking. As he spoke, he even took out the silver pistol on his belt and passed it to Qin Yiru. When Ce said that, his deep eyes shone with sincerity. Qin Yiru's expression softened slightly. Ae, it's not that I don't agree with you guys being together. You said that you're sincere to Xiao Jian, but what about Xiao Jian? How can you force her? Qin Yiru said with a frown. This was the real reason why Qin Yiru was angry. It was not that Qin Yiru disliked Ce nor was she against it. Qin Yiru had completely misunderstood. She thought that Ce had forced Yunjian to do a lot of things that she should not have done already. Qin Yiru thought that Ce had already started to grope her daughter before she knew it. This was what infuriated Qin Yiru the most. As a mother, how could she feel good when she saw this? Of course, if Yunjian was willing, Qin Yiru was a different story. Qin Yiru was not against puppy love. Forced? Ce frowned. He had passed his gun to Qin Yiru without a trace. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, did not even notice why Ce had a gun. Chapter 636. It was awkward to say it, but Yunjian said it anyway. Yunjian knew that if she did not say it, Qin Yiru's misunderstanding of Ce would probably worsen. Huh! Qin Yiru froze on the spot when she heard what Yunjian said and looked at Yunjian. Qin Yiru was completely dumbfounded after that. From the beginning, Qin Yiru thought that it was Ce who forced Yunjian to say those things. Now, however, she was told that her assumption was wrong. Did Xiao Jian do it willingly? What? Qin Yiru swallowed hard and turned to look at Yunjian in disbelief, her gaze filled with realization and shock. Xiao Jian, what did you say? Willingly? Did she blame Ce wrongly just now? Qin Yiru continued. Mom, I didn't tell you before. He didn't force me, so you misunderstood. Since she had said it, Yunjian told her everything. This. Qin Yiru widened her eyes in shock after she heard what Yunjian said. Her daughter had been with Ce for so long right under her nose? I think I came out at the wrong time? While Qin Yiru was at a loss for words from her shock, Gu Yunjian's voice came from the staircase on the second floor. Qin Yiru was feeling awkward as well. After all, she had misunderstood Ce. Gu Yunjian's appearance eased Qin Yiru's awkwardness a little. Is Xiao Zhu asleep? Qin Yiru changed the topic immediately. He's already asleep. Xiao Zhu's a good boy, Gu Junjian said and came down the stairs. Taking in the atmosphere, Gu Junjian asked with a faint smile, how's it going? If Gu Junjian were to ask his impression of Ce, he had a good impression of Ce. With Gu Yunjian's question, he brought the topic back to the original topic. Qin Yiru coughed awkwardly and turned her gaze to Ce and Yunjian again. She did not notice what she was holding. Ce's silver pistol. Gu Junjian was shocked when he saw the gun as well. He took the silver pistol from Qin Yiru's hand without a trace. Then, Gu Junjian draped his arm over Qin Yiru's shoulder. Qin Yiru shifted her gaze to Ce as well before looking at Yunjian. She told Ce, Ae, to be honest, I quite like you too. I won't stop you from being with Xiao Jian, but she's still young, so don't do certain things if you don't have to. Qin Yiru was ashamed of herself toward the end. Of course, it was fine as long as everyone understood what she meant. Ce grabbed Yunjian's hand and promised in front of Qin Yiru, I'll protect Xiao Jian with my life. She's my everything now and she'll be my future. Although Ce did not make any earth-shattering vow in front of Qin Yiru, his words were heartwarming, like a quiet stream that flowed warmly and gave people a comforting sense of trust. Forget it. We're getting old. Think about your matters yourselves. I won't interfere. Qin Yiru was not an old-fashioned person, so she let it go. Chapter 637. Qin Yiru had actually gotten married and pregnant at an early age. Qin Yiru had dropped out of high school and disregarded Dong Ruan's advice, following Zhang Meihua's arrangement to marry Yun Gang. Qin Yiru regretted it a little after they got married, but she had always chosen to believe in Yun Gang, believing that he would treat her well. What she did not expect was that Yun Gang loved to gamble. Not only did he frequently go to the casino to gamble, he even stole money from home and became worse each time. It broke Qin Yiru's heart, but it did not directly cause the marriage to fail. What really caused the marriage to end was that Yun Gang cheated on her. Qin Yiru could not believe it at first. She actually trusted Yun Gang, but she did not expect Yun Gang to really have a mistress behind her back. It was only when the mistress came to her that Qin Yiru realized her mistake. She should have divorced Yun Gang a long time ago, but she did not. Qin Yiru's mother-in-law, Lu Lanhua, even lectured her in front of her, saying, "Which man doesn't cheat?" At that moment, Qin Yiru was truly enraged, but she was a timid person. She still divorced Yun Gang with Xiao Jian's help. After going through such a complicated marriage that dragged her down for half her life, Qin Yiru finally saw through it. At the same time, Qin Yiru was determined not to stop her Xiao Jian if she could find someone she liked. When she found out that the person was Ce, Qin Yiru was quite fond of him too. Ce was handsome, but that was secondary. Most importantly, he had a good character. To Qin Yiru, it did not matter how he looked as long as he treated Xiao Jian well. Ce was undoubtedly the best candidate. Moreover, Yun Jian and Ce were in love with each other now. When she heard what Qin Yiru said, Yun Jian, who stood on the stairs, took a step back, nearly missing her footing. Qin Yiru actually said that she would raise their child for them if she got pregnant? That was not the problem though. Yun Jian realized that Qin Yiru had deeply misunderstood her and Ce. "Mom." Yun Jian was about to speak, but Qin Yiru stopped her. "Xiao Jian, I know you're a big girl now and you know how to be shy. I won't tease you anymore. All right, go back and rest too." Qin Yiru and Yun Jian went downstairs and sat on the sofa to watch TV together. Only Yun Jian and Ce were left standing where they were. A second later, Ce reached out to hold Yun Jian's hand swiftly. Holding Yun Jian's hand softly, he walked up the stairs. When Yun Jian was not looking, his lips curled into a smile that was eye-catching. This time, Ce did not go to Yun Jian's room. Holding Yun Jian's hand, he went straight to his own room. Applying what one had learned was an effective way to apply it to Ce. When Yun Jian reached her room and was about to go in, Ce had already pulled her hand and turned to enter his room. "You." Yun Jian's soft voice was completely blocked behind the door. Once they entered the room, Ce held her hand and led her to the bed. It was Yun Jian's first time entering Ce's bedroom. She looked around and saw that the room was decorated in navy blue. It looked rather simple. There was only a big bed in front of them and a long and wide desk beside it. Other than that, there was nothing else. Chapter 638. Ce hugged her from behind, and Yun Jian shivered once again. Ce's embrace was very warm. His embrace carried the warmth of a man, and Yun Jian's body curled up tightly. Ce made sure to lock the door this time in order to prevent the previous awkward situation from happening again. He hugged her and threw himself onto the big bed. Falling onto Ce's big bed, Yun Jian seemed to smell Ce's unique fragrance. It was a faint but pleasant scent. "You." Yun Jian was halfway through her sentence when Ce flipped over and hugged Yun Jian's slender waist. "Sleep." Ce spoke softly. His magnetic voice was like the soft spring rain, giving people a cool and soothing sense of tranquility. "Okay." Seeing that Ce was silent, Yun Jian spoke up. After that, Ce fell silent. Yun Jian lay in Ce's arms, and it was so quiet that she could hear his breathing. Yun Jian closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. The next day, the scorching sun rose from the east. Although it was a cold winter, it was a new day, and there were already signs of spring coming. When Yun Jian woke up, Ce was sitting beside her, watching her. She immediately sat up. After brushing her teeth and washing her face, Yun Jian tied her hair into a high ponytail and walked out of the room with Ce. At this moment, Yun Jian was wearing a simple set of loose sportswear. She had specially bought this outfit for her morning run. Ce was wearing a white sweater with a black jacket over it. This black jacket accentuated his tall and slender figure. Yunjian and Ce went downstairs together and planned to go for a morning run. As soon as they walked out of the villa, Yunjian and Ce's attention was drawn to the military jeep parked at the entrance. When they turned to look, they saw Gu Junjian sitting in the car. He was waving at Yunjian and Ce. Thinking that there was another mission from the military, Yunjian walked over with a lift of her legs. Who knew that Gu Junjian was waving at Ce? Although Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru had confirmed their relationship, it was not appropriate for him to stay in the villa for the night. After all, this was Dong Ruan's house. This was different from Zhang Meihua's house. Actually, even if Dong Ruan knew that Gu Junjian was staying here, she would not do anything about it. However, Qin Yiru felt that it was inappropriate. "Officer Gu, what's wrong?" Yunjian asked suspiciously when she saw Gu Junjian waving at Ce. "Look at this. It's yours, isn't it?" Gu Junjian asked. He was still sitting in the military jeep with the windows down. Gu Junjian took out Ce's silver pistol and told Ce. Ce reached out to take the silver pistol from Gu Junjian. "Hey, why did you give the gun to Yiru yesterday? Weren't you afraid that it would go off accidentally? Also, we don't allow guns here. You better hide it well, don't let anyone see it." After Gu Junjian said that to Ce, he laughed heartily and honked the car horn. He then drove off after saying goodbye. He was here to return Ce's pistol. Yunjian was stunned. She did not bring a pistol with her when she was out on a mission. There was not much time to use a gun in the military. As for the butterfly knife, Yunjian always carried it with her. Chapter 639. When Yunjian and Ce returned home from their morning run, Yunjian was already sweating profusely, but she didn't seem to be out of breath at all. It was normal for her to sweat. Ce's physical fitness was obviously much better than Yunjian's. After he finished his run, there were only a few drops of sweat on his forehead. There was no trace of his morning run at all. It was time for breakfast when they arrived home. Gu Junjian, who had gone to the army, was also sitting at the big dining table. There were several bowls of porridge on the table. Other than Yun Yi's portion, everyone had a portion. There was also a small bowl of pickled mustard beside each bowl of porridge. Yunjian was already hungry, so she walked over with Ce. "Xiaozhu, are you done? We can eat now." Qin Yiru shouted towards the bathroom. Xiao Yunzhu immediately responded, "Mother Qin, I'm coming." As he spoke, Xiao Yunzhu had already washed his hands and was skipping out of the bathroom. "Sister, brother Ce." Seeing Yunjian and Ce, Xiao Yunzhu shouted happily. Children didn't deliberately remember things. Xiao Yunzhu had already forgotten everything that had happened yesterday. At this moment, Xiao Yunzhu had even forgotten that Ce had hit Yunjian yesterday. He was already skipping over to Ce. Ce naturally wouldn't argue with Xiao Yunzhu about what had happened yesterday. Xiao Yunzhu had simply unconsciously told the truth. Moreover, after what he had said yesterday, Ce's wish had been fulfilled. After all, he had gained Qin Yiru's approval, so he didn't have to be sneaky with Yunjian anymore. He could boldly lay his hands on his woman now. After being caressed by Ce, Ce reached out and stroked Xiao Yunzhu's short hair. Xiao Yunzhu skipped back to his seat. He picked up his small bowl of porridge and blew at it. Then, he poured some pickled vegetables into the porridge and swallowed them down. Xiao Zhu's school reopens the day after tomorrow. Due to the weather last semester, they didn't have a parent-child sports day. The school's notice says that they'll have a parent-child sports day as soon as school reopens. "Xiao Jian, since you're reopening the day after tomorrow and I'll be at work by then, since you're home, Xiao Jian, AE, you two can take part in Xiao Zhu's parent-child sports day on my behalf." Qin Yiru drank a mouthful of porridge and said to Yunjian and Ce. In fact, Xiao Yunzhu had already told Yunjian and Ce about it yesterday. Xiao Yunzhu was still sleeping in his room when he suddenly remembered it and rushed to Ce's room. However, he did not find her. It was only later that he went to Yunjian's room and saw Ce hitting his sister once he entered. He was so scared that he forgot his initial goal. Parent-child sports day? Yunjian narrowed her eyes and took a sip of porridge with a spoon before turning to Qin Yiru and asking with a raised brow. "Yeah, It's a sports day for parents and children. Parents compete against each other and children compete against each other. It's an entertainment event, Chinyiru answered with a nod. Schools nowadays put in a lot of effort for children's health. Events like the Parent-Child Sports Day were held to allow children and parents to get closer to each other. Jejia, let's go, let's go. Xiao Yunzhu whined to Yunjian. Okay. Yunjian nodded with a smile. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.